Okay, Astro Doodle coming. Alright, so I'm just going to color it all up and you'll see in a minute. Okie dokie. So let's see what we've got. I'm going to join you in just a second, everybody. Yes, I'll take care of that. Don't you worry, Ivana. Thank you so much. So here we are. This is what the Astro Doodle looks like for today. Let's see now. Again, it seems to be a very, very quiet evening. It's just us. Maybe it's the holiday. Maybe whatever reason. Susan, hello, Susan. Happy Easter, if that is your holiday. If not, happy bunny days, yes. Susan, I think you've been here before. Wait a minute. Now, where did I see you? Where did we... Well, you'll have to remind us, okay? Please, Susan, maybe type in your location. When did you hang out? What was going on when you were here? Something like that. I would really appreciate that. Okay. But anyway, I've already got a couple bookings. We've got one for Ivana Kukulka. Okay, that is a big fat I over there. Also, Agatha Christie. Okay. Let's see. I think Necessary Truth ordered a reading as well. Let me just double check. I'll be right back, folks. Give me a second. I want to double check something. Bitty. Well, let's have a look. Tina ordered a reading. Tina Miller. Thank you, Tina Miller. Let's see what kind of stories come up for you. And guess who? Mr. Ross. Mr. Gregory Ross. Everyone's favorite gentleman. Alright, so let's put those aside for a moment. Let's get actually on with the little Astro Doodle here. Thank you, everybody, for the bookings. It really, really helps. It's hard for me to describe. Susan. Okay, thank you so much, Susan. Let's just do it. I'm probably already at a full house. We have a famous author in the house. I've never read any of your books, Susan, I'm sorry to say. Thank you very much. Let's put that over here. Let's tighten this all up. Looks like we got a full house already, even there's just a few of us here. How funny. It's weird how these things go. I'll put all this aside for now. Let me check in with you guys. Let you know I'm a real person. Some of you, of course, have been visiting for years. And some of you might be new. Maybe there's some newbies out there. Honestly, Susan, I know you're incredibly famous as an author, and sometimes you have to be very discreet. You can't just show up on YouTube channels hanging out, pretending like you're one of the common people. No, you can't do that. I know you've written some very famous books and everything, and it must be tough to live up to that, have to live with that every day, but yeah. Now I understand what I have to deal with. Do you know what it's like walking down the street sometimes and people recognize, oh my God, that's Terra Lumination. I can't actually remember when that last happened, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know if it ever happened actually, but anyway, it was. I was just having a flight of fancy there. No worries. Let's check in over here. Good evening, folks. This is Terra Lumination. I'm in a water world, as you can see. I know it's all right, Susan. It's all right. It's just between you and me, okay? And the rest of the world, you know. I know some YouTube channels get 1 million views. I watched something that had 6 million views today. Anyway, I'm going to get into all that in just a minute. So, we have a tremendous amount of Pisces energy flying around in the universe at the moment. Hence the fish tank. The Piscean theme. Fish is going in all directions. I hope the live stream keeps going, you know. Hello, Stork. Well, here's the thing about taking questions. Like, this is live mini readings by donation. And no offense, Susan, but the super chat is wonderful. I love it. But what's happened is that my channel has become so tiny, it doesn't really generate enough revenue for advertising. And I always come up to the threshold and I miss it by a couple of dollars. So what happens in that situation is it's too much administrative work for Google, YouTube to pay me. So they keep all the super chat money. So I haven't had any super chat or advertising money for a long time now. I mean, I love to get the super chat, and but in the last couple of months, there's no point in your kindness through super chat, because it never gets to me, which is where it's supposed to go. It goes straight into Google, YouTube, and because, like I said, my channel is so tiny now, it never reaches the financial threshold to get paid. So I haven't had a check from Google, YouTube in a long time. And it's very, very frustrating. I thought everything was working, but it's not. So thank you, Susan. You just gave $20 to Google and YouTube. And I should have mentioned that before the show started. It looks like from now on, I'm going to have to direct everybody. You see, the thing is, when I monetize, I'll have to go back into the settings, because there might be a way that I can keep the channel going, but I can disable the super chat, something like that, okay? So that we don't get stuck in this awkward situation. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, anyway. So Stork, here's an example. Dear Stork, it says here, any changes happening with my apartment complex within the 12 residents? Well, I'm not a fortune teller. That is a question that requires a yes or no answer, and it's fine. I can certainly do a reading on that if you want. So Stork, I've already got 4 people lined up, and I can probably take one more, and that's about it. But if you want to make a donation, please do it through the, well, let me start one way. Okay, if you've got a PayPal account already, you can just send PayPal money direct to my email here, if you can read it, alittlebookabout@yahoo.com. The other ways you can go, make it more official, you can go to terralumination.com, maybe on a separate device or something. You can click the donate page, click the donate button, and a payment processor comes up there. And you can use PayPal, and you can use a debit, credit card, whatever. And that money does actually go straight to Terra Lumination. The same thing with the one over here, that goes straight to Terra Lumination. Sadly, the super chat is not reaching me, and I've only just discovered this last week, and I'm negligent. I have to go inside of my channel management systems or whatever to try and figure that out. But anyway, Susan, I do thank you very much anyway, and you're going to get your reading anyway. So, dear Stork, yeah, if you want to make a donation, the safest, most, let's say, professional way is to go to terralumination.com, like I just showed you over here, and do the donate that way. It's a payment processor, like all of them. And if you scroll down, you can actually use a debit card. You don't have to even use PayPal. Okay? So there we go. That's something. Now, let me... Okay, we'll wait and see about that, Stork. Okay, I got some magic post-it notes standing by, ready for one final reading. If we can do that, we'll see. Now, like I said, I was trying to check in with everybody, Oh, somebody that said, Stork, you're a Pisces, Pisces sun. Well, I've been dealing with a lot of Pisces energy recently, and some people who know me or have had readings with me over the years, I've had a public thing here now on YouTube for 4.5 years. And it was, anyway, it goes through changes and whatever. And I have a profile just like other astrologers. Some people go to Abla, some people go to, there's lots of other places, tons of other astrologers now, tons of other tarot readers. And they all have their certain, qualities or whatever. And I have a tendency to focus on the outer planets and things of a mass and global nature. Of course, in my personal readings, we can get right down into the thick of it, But my natural focus is on the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Sometimes include Saturn, because with the outer planets, we're talking about globalized phenomenon, things that affect everybody, and it happens at a very deep level of consciousness that it's very hard to bring it into consciousness. And most of those energies of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto happen in what we call an unconscious manner. But I see it very clearly playing out on the global stage. And humanity is at a point where now that these planets are recognized and they have a very, very specific orbit and highly, highly predictable movements and gravitational impacts, we need to take them as seriously as we take Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Those are all the visible things in the heavens. And ancient astrology was based on those visible planets, visible bodies. But now we know for a fact that there's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and there's others. There's Ceres as well. And so we cannot any longer, operate on autopilot. We have to integrate the power and energies of these outer planets. Otherwise, we end up operating like under reflexes. Simple, just animal reflexes with no accountability. Blame it on the autonomic nervous system or your genetic programming, your DNA, or the government, or whatever. But ultimately, we have to own that energy in ourselves. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I've been studying this stuff for a long time as an amateur. I still consider myself barely an amateur. But what I've noticed is that the energy of Neptune is, from my opinion, the hardest to understand or manage. Pluto, it plays out there very vividly on the world stage. Uranus, it's very clear what's happening. But Neptune, it's so hard to understand because oh, thank you, Susan. You're very kind. Cheers. This is a good excuse for me to do this. Thank you. Wow, you must be feeling really loaded and rich, Agatha. Maybe you had another royalty check from your hugely successful series of novels. Thank you very, very much. We'll make it up to you as well, okay? We can get you another reading another time. We'll figure it out, okay? The thing I was trying to point out is that with the Piscean theme, it's ruled by Neptune. And Neptune has this reputation of being very ambiguous. In one way, it embodies like universal love, the pureness and idealization and the ideal of love in its purest sense, where there is no expectation of love. There is no cost for the love. Love is not dispensed like a parking meter, okay? Love is as love does, and love expresses itself in so many infinite ways on planet Earth. Usually we recognize it as action. Love in action. That means love is as love does. And you can probably study all sorts of things about that on YouTube and other places, but I like to keep it pretty simple. There's an author called Scott Peck. He's a military surgeon. I don't know if he's still alive, but he understood what we're talking about here. And in one of his definitions, he tried to define love. And it wasn't anything to do with romance or making babies or having ecstatic sex or anything like that, or getting married or anything like that. It was love is as love does, where love, let's think of it's a sort of a loose definition. Love is the willing, conscious decision to deliberately go outside your own personal comfort zone in order to extend spiritual healing and evolution for others or a single other, in fact, including yourself, when there is no guarantee of any kind of reward or reciprocation. It's the same kind of energy that is exhibited by a loving mother who gives everything to the child, even in conditions of extreme poverty. When you watch animal distress videos, for example, the mother will, like the female octopus, will take care of those babies till death. That's it. The mother has no concern for her own welfare except and only in order to survive against every offensive external energy, purely for the sake of reproduction and survival and the perpetuation of her little babies. Okay? Then there's no reward. Okay? That's the beautiful side of Neptune. The other beautiful side is things like artistic visions, artistic inspiration, deep, profound connections with heaven and angels, and visions that could be called clairvoyancy or clairaudience or clairsentience, and mediumship and remote viewing, and all these kind of super ultra high frequency phenomenon that are often associated closely with love. In my personal experience, love is infinite and it can travel through time and space. We can use the energies of remote healing. It's mind-boggling how you can send remote healing energy from 7,000 miles away to someone in New Zealand who is ailing, and they can be active recipients. There are some very powerful energy healers as well, like Barbara Brennan from the 1980s. I don't know if she's still around, but she, to me, is the best proponent of what I call energy healing in a very, very methodical, down-to-earth, practical, useful manner. And all of that is like Piscean. It's very, very beautiful. And it's very amorphous. It's very hard to tie down. You can also think of the energy of sand paintings, like these beautiful mandalas that are created by Tibetan monks. And they spend endless time creating these spectacular visions. And then when it's done, they tip the table over and blow it all away. It's an ephemeral thing. It's a reminder that life is a very transient, ephemeral thing. We are like little wildflowers. We blossom, we glow, we have our moment of glory, and then we die and disappear like we were never here. Okay? So there's that kind of love. Now, the thing about today is that over the last few days, it's been amplifying. The Pisces energy has been amplifying dramatically across the world. Right now, when we look at the Astro Doodle, you'll see that we have Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune all piled up together in Pisces. So we're seeing this spectacular global display of Pisces energy themes. There's the shadow side, which is very, very disturbing. Some of it, it's really, you can hardly talk about on a public forum like this without being censored or shut down, okay? And the other side is the wonders and beauty of universal love as it is being expressed by humanity. And it's all happening simultaneously. In fact, what I'd like to do is go over to the stage and I'll kind of go through some examples of what I'm talking about here. So it's kind of a mess on this Astro Doodle because there's such a huge tight stellium here of Piscean energy. Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune. Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune. All piled up there in all the degrees of Pisces. So that's heavy-duty Neptune energy beaming down on planet Earth. And right now, there's some very harmonious alignments with that Piscean energy. The moon is in Scorpio, beautifully aligned. Uranus and Mercury are in Taurus, beautifully aligned. So the way I look at it, I just look at it as, you know, red and green, good, bad, or sweet and or scary. You know, hey Tina, got some snow. Then it melted. Okay. So anyway, for me personally, the energy has been very, very intense this last I would say 24 hours as the moon enters Scorpio. I've felt this very, very, very deep, intense energy field, like penetrating to the depth of my soul in some way, where I felt I was completely connected to planet Earth. Uranus and Taurus is very much to do with Earth, planet Earth, and all the radical upheavals that are happening on planet Earth, especially the global financial system, and especially these extreme climate events. And we're seeing it play out, and how is it affecting us personally in our interpersonal relationships. So, in the background, I almost think of this as a weird kind of full moon. It is an opposition because it involves the moon. Like just the other day, yesterday, we had the moon in Libra opposing the sun right here. And I don't know if you saw it, but over here in Las Vegas, there was a fabulous, huge, intense, dazzling full moon. And things culminated. Things culminate at full moons. And for the last 2 weeks, these nebulous themes have been growing and growing. And then with the sudden stellium here, Lesiele Etiaki. Hello, what's going on? Recording love right now. Regarding love. Okay. Well, we can do that. Oh my God, it's going to be a busy night. Sorry, I have to. There are no more readings after this, people. I got too many. I might not be able to get to all of you, and we might have to put you on hold for next week, or you can contact me and I'll do a private reading with you, okay? Okay. So, Lesiele, if I can't make it to you tonight because my voice falls apart or I become too weak, I'll get you some. All you have to do is go to terralumination.com, or you can go over here. This is my email, okay? So just please connect with me, Lesiele. A little book about at yahoo.com. Please write to me directly and let me know that I might owe you a reading in case I can't reach you tonight, okay? So let me carry on here. I was trying to put some kind of comprehension to all this Pisces energy. To me, it's very hard to do. So the only way I can do it is with a list of things that I just made today. And what I tried to do was capture the essence and the themes of this Neptune energy that is just like permeating the whole of global media, because I get a lot of stuff off of YouTube. I mean, I love YouTube. They don't love me so much, but I do love YouTube. It's the most, to me, by far the most powerful, valuable communications thing on the internet, apart from whatever happens in the secret worlds of the espionage and stuff. But for the masses, YouTube is incredible. It's a bigger search engine than Google. Okay? People go directly to YouTube for searching. So just for today, like, if you want, let's just blink. Okay, just imagine you blink your eyes. Let me see. Let me see if I can do it like this. You can blink your eyes. I don't know if this is going to show up here. Let me have a look. So today, if you wanted to, you could tune in into all of the really sick, shadowy, disgusting, perverted stuff that's happening across planet Earth right now. The list is so long, I don't know where to begin. Yesterday evening, there was a mass shooting. I can't remember where it was. I think it was a mall. And some people say these things are staged. I can understand that. It wouldn't surprise me. There is so much disgusting, squalid stuff happening right now that is being funded and staged and organized by certain groups of individuals, especially certain elites, who want complete, utter chaos and subversion and global terror. They are literally, like Russia right now is literally propagating globalized terrorism. They're taking it to the next level, more than the Middle East, more than all the Middle East wars. Russia is now, it's like it's planting seeds, and China is doing an outstanding example of learning by copying. And so, without getting really sucked into the shadow energy here, seeds of emptiness are being planted all around Earth, like kind of like carpet bombing. They used to call it carpet bombing in Vietnam wars and in the wars in the Croatias and the Balkans, parts of the Middle East as well, where they take the B-52 bombers and they just release thousands and thousands of bombs just to destroy and wipe out anything down below. And it's deliberate because globalized terrorism profits Russia and China and all the higher level extremist terrorist organizations and dictatorships. They profit from this. That's their business model. We also had another mass shooting in Pittsburgh. That just happened this evening. There was an Airbnb party going on. It was packed with about 80 people. I think actually more than that. And a couple people showed up, young kids, and they had ghost guns. And they used the party as a playground for a shootout. And of course, a lot of people got injured. There was the New York subway shooting. I saw some very disturbing material sent to me by Love Triber, which makes you feel like, my God, this whole thing is freaking staged. It's designed to create fear and terror in the mass media. And then when you look deeper, you actually start to think like, oh my God, this stuff is actually staged. This is manufactured terror, with plastic blood bags, like everything that happened in January 6th in the White House after the election last year in 2021, where the White House was swarmed by a bunch of freaks. So I just want to focus on the sick stuff, get that out of the way. There's just so much of it. Like in Ukraine right now, the Russian folks are deliberately shooting and killing and bombing the citizens. It's nothing to do It's not a war between soldiers and soldiers, armies and armies, weapons and weapons. It is literally terrorism. It is the deliberate slaughter of women and children, hospitals and schools and animals and zoos, food supplies, to create terror. The idea is to terrorize the Ukrainian people into surrender. It's not going to happen. Okay? Let me have a look. Okay, there's massive floods in South Africa. I mean, all of the weather events, they're becoming so commonplace, people hardly pay attention anymore. Mass floodings, deaths, lots of places in Africa, anything near the equator. Right now, Sri Lanka, it used to be Ceylon. Sri Lanka, like, what do they got? 130 million people there? Their whole country is imploding because they don't have any food and they don't have any control of government. So you have food riots. And there's an expression, when you've got nothing left to lose, you lose it. So ordinary, regular, everyday citizens minding their own business start turning into rampaging thieves and looters and killers in order to get food and water. We literally turn into animals. Animals are beautiful. I'm talking about we turn into empty savages in order to, in other words, we kill or we are killed. We have to kill or else we die. Let me just keep going for a couple of other things here. Another thing that was shown to me by Love Triber, and this was very disturbing. There are precursors inside some of these injections that indicate the injections are actually laced with certain poisons that are analogous to snake venom, which has a deadly effect on people. One of them including very disturbing side effects like Parkinson's disease. Okay? This is happening all over the freaking world. And just as soon as that news landed here in my lap today about how people, perfectly ordinary people, were being injected and willingly taking these injections, and now they're coming up with these horrific heart conditions and lung conditions and brain conditions and neurological disorders. It's happening. Love Triber has a whole bunch of friends who are very sick from taking the injection. I have a dear friend. He just contacted me today after 2.5 years. He's a young guy. He now has Parkinson's. He's one of the guys who would willingly, nobly take the injections. So he has no reason having Parkinson's. So it's very, very disturbing. The squalor in Washington is starting to become exposed. There's this fellow called, I think his name John Durham. He's an attorney who is bringing certain very, very high-level elites in the United States. He's bringing them into accountability through the courts and the legal system. And you wouldn't believe the squalor and the filth and the perversion that is being revealed in this case. It is mind-boggling. It's so disgusting. It's almost incomprehensible. It's very similar to what's happening in a Florida school district. This was a Michigan school where a local parent decided to confront the local school board, and he, on camera, that went onto YouTube, he did a display of what was being taught in the Michigan schools to these little kids. And it's essentially how to legitimize pornography and sexual, let's say, adventurism. That is, to me, it looks like it's the propagation of perversion. It's like the very, very worst expression of Neptune energy in full display. How you can have these adults deliberately targeting little children and sexualizing them, like grooming them for future life. It's mind-boggling. It's very, very disturbing. Let's have a look. What were the other ones I wanted to bring up? Oh yeah, of course, the Shanghai lockdowns. You know, what is it? 1.8 million people are basically near death now. You know, out of a city of 26 million. That's nothing. I mean, China can afford to lose 2 billion and it wouldn't make any difference. I mean, that sounds very harsh, but that's the truth, okay? It's very weird what's happening in China. China is now watching the rest of the world, figuring out how it can take over planet Earth. Believe me, China wants it all. Inside of the United States, China wants our land, our cows, our pigs, our sheep, our chicken, our turkeys. They want our water. They want our timber. They want all our fruits and vegetables. They want all our minerals and from the mining sources like uranium and lithium, gold and silver, aluminum, iron, steel, coal. Also, they want all of our oil and gas. Why? It's because they're desperate. They've got 1.5 billion people who are desperate for food and resources. So China is already doing that all across the world, and they're getting away with it because we let them. But it's mostly because in America, there are people very high up in Washington who have been systematically selling America to China. That's how disgusting things are at the very top of the pyramid. All the apex predators who have no soul, they are hollow, and they just... I don't know what words to use. So, here's some sweet things. There was a beautiful puppy rescue today in Canada. 8 little baby puppies were rescued after somebody posted on Facebook, like, I've got these little wild puppies on my backyard. I don't know where they came from. There's the mother. Please, can somebody rescue them? And so somebody did. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I did a cat rescue today. I found a little cat that needed a lot of help, and so I sent money to a veterinarian. It's all legitimate stuff. It's very, very legitimate stuff. I was not scammed, and it helped to save the life of this little cat. In Pakistan, $10 goes a very long way. And that was my donation, $10. I also did a secondary type of cat rescue today. Early on my bicycle ride, I went to get my cup of coffee at McDonald's this morning, and I passed a roadkill of a cat, a beautiful gray long-haired cat. It had been completely smacked dead. And I kind of had a breakdown, and I stopped in the middle of the road, and I found some cloth and towels nearby, and I pulled the little cat off the road, and I spent some time organizing animal services to pick up the body, because I couldn't do anything with it. I didn't have the way to carry it or anything. So God bless that little creature. It's gone. There was a beautiful story about what they call an empathy horse. This is a full-size adult male stallion who has a very big heart, and he has found his way into hospitals. I think it's in France or Norway, I can't remember. And he's all nicely groomed, and he goes into these hospitals where they have a lot of terminal patients or people who are very, very sick. And the horse just wanders through with a minder, and the horse instinctively finds the people that need his most immediate attention. And he goes into the room, and the nurses follow, and it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful to see how this horse sends the healing power of love through space. Literally, the horse just shows up, puts his face very close to the patient in the bed, and just breathes all over the patient and sniffs them and cuddles them with his mouth. And it brings tremendous sense of joy and healing. Like when a lot of these patients are, terminal, And it gives them a sense that there is hope and love and wonder and beauty. It's absolutely spectacular. They had 6 million views very, very recently. Let's see. Yeah, that was the good stuff that I found. There's lots of good stuff happening on planet Earth, and I just wanted to share that one with you. So, there you go. Really, really bad things are happening at the same time as really, really beautiful things. It's amazing. It's kind of a choice. Sometimes I get sucked into the whirlpool for days on end. The Neptunian drain. You can think of Neptune energy or the Piscean energy on the shadow side. It's kind of like a sewer drain. And I had a horrible, sad story about a Pisces person and how she has sadly attracted so much tragedy in her life. That's really not her business. It's just that other people are attracted to her. And one of the characteristics of Piscean Neptune energy, which is extremely hard to handle and manage, is that it can act magnetically like a sewer drain, like, and so almost every Piscean person that I know has a certain element of unexplicable, uncontrollable tragedy associated with their life. And in this particular story, it involved a tragedy with a neighbor. And so this Piscean person had to deal with a neighbor who was extremely violent and abusive right next door. And that person decided to beat their dog to death just for something to do. And the Piscean person had to witness that. Can you imagine the shock and the squalor? And then what do? I offered to go and take care of business. I have my ways. I can turn myself into a vigilante. I know that if I actually did what I wanted to do, I would end up in prison for doing the things that I would do. I have to be very careful with animal rescue stories personally because I take it very personally for some reason. And I end up taking on this persona of judge, jury, and executioner because I have no qualms about physically eliminating an animal abuser. I don't care. I really don't care. I would happily execute an animal abuser with no sense of guilt. Sorry. Anyway, I can't afford to do that. Oh, Tina, that you'd have to check up on YouTube. It just came up. It's very new as far as I could tell. But anyway, it's an amazing story. It's a true story. I actually watched it. I could take this Piscean theme forever. And with Jupiter and Neptune conjoined, it just expands and magnifies the squalor and the beauty simultaneously. You get the absolute beauty of Neptune and Piscean theme. It's like living in an ecstatic fantasy world when it feels real. The shadow side of it is living in the squalor and the death camps and the slaughter of what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening in Sri Lanka, what's happening in the mass shootings and all of that. It's all happening simultaneously, the good and the bad. It's because human beings are not taking ownership of that energy. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I don't know, maybe it's going to take centuries or thousands of years for human beings to become, let's say, compliant with the outer planets. In the meantime, we've got readings to do here, okay? Let's see, how can we do this? So I'm sorry, I didn't want to scare anybody, but the Neptune theme is very powerful right now, and it needs to be examined in its own right. And so that's kind of what I did. All right, let's get on with it. We got some readings to do. By the way, it's middle of April now, and you might have noticed that there's this sense of intense compression that's happening, where you might feel like time is standing still, and we're heading into something that is very scary and very ominous. Well, guess what? Pluto is going to be going retrograde in a few weeks, okay? So when Pluto goes retrograde in Capricorn, it's going to scroll back over 27 and 26 degrees Capricorn. And what I feel is going to happen is the whole of planet Earth is going to descend into like a pit of darkness, that we're going to see the stuff that I talked about in my book, where I mentioned it's time to protect your money, protect your privacy, and protect yourself, because there are things that are happening on a global scale that are going to start to affect you personally, in your wallet, in your neighborhood. Okay? In other words, this is what I'm talking about. People are sort of trying to avoid the subject, but this is actually what we're talking about. And I'm a little bit scared to mention it because my channel is already in such deep trouble. This is what we're dealing with right now. This is very real. It's actually happening right now. We're seeing the very tippy edge of it in the currency wars, okay? The currency wars, okay? Especially between the US dollar and the Chinese yuan, okay? This is World War III happening here, okay? And this is going to spread into your lives in terms of extreme inflation, food prices, shortages, power outages, chaos. So be prepared. If you're not a prepper, you might want to consider becoming a prepper. It's not too late. Okay? All right, let's get on with the show. Oh, look at those notes. I see your notes there, Tina. Ava, maybe, you're doing the right thing. It's so good. Have you heard, Tina, have you heard that expression? Good fences make good neighbors. Okay? Try telling that to the guy who's trying to run the United States right now. They don't understand. Love Triber, some of you know Love Triber. Love Triber is actually an extremely astute prepper. She's very, very aware of what's happening on a global scale all over the world, and she is doing her part in her own personal life. Love is as love does. She is seeing in three-dimensional real time the value of prepping. Okay? All right, let's have a look here. I'm going to use the Universal Golden. Spread a bit of love. Okay? So up first, Ivana. Thank you for your patience, everybody. I hope my little rant just now made some sense and I didn't scare people away. I don't know if anybody saw that, but I put up a tiny little video the other day about one of the big casinos here in Las Vegas. It's an amazing phenomenon to see a casino in Las Vegas. There's nothing else like it in the world. Las Vegas is one of the showcase cities of America, kind of like New York and Los Angeles, okay? I would say there's New York, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. Those are the three main showcase cities of America. So here in Las Vegas, you would hardly know that there are massive food shortages and supply chain chaos right now, because most of the grocery stores and the Walmarts and the Sam's Clubs and the Costco's, they are all loaded up. Of course, a lot of it is an illusion. If you look very carefully, you can see that they're preparing their stores and making things look like there's tremendous, unending abundance. All right. So Ivana, I don't know if if you're still here, Ivana. I hope so. Oh, look at that note from Tina about Ava. Ava is the German Shepherd search and rescue dog owned by Tina Miller. Tina slept several hours today, and Ava stayed by her side very quietly. That's beautiful. That means that Ava is growing up. She's maturing into a beautiful dog. Ivana, I'm here. Let me just check up with you. I just want to make sure. Hello, Ivana. We're going to do your reading now. We're going to start doing the reading. So I hope my voice holds out to the end of the show. I tried to give a note to Lesieli, and I don't know if I'll make it that far. And I thank you for your kindness and generosity. You'll get a reading anyway, okay? Even if we have to do it privately off to the side. So don't worry, Lesieli, okay? All right, let's keep going here. Oh my God, I'd love to go to Montana. I've never been to Montana, but man, I just know it's outstandingly beautiful in many places. New Mexico is having wildfires early in the season because everything west of the Mississippi is going through a very long, slow desertification. All you have to do is look at Lake Mead near Las Vegas. It's almost empty. And yet, there are thousands of new homes being built here in Las Vegas. It's insanity. Doesn't make any sense. Good luck to you, Ivana. So, Ivana, I don't know if you had a particular theme. I can do a wild reading if you want, completely blind reading. But if you have a one-word theme, please type it in the screen before we start. I will use this as my excuse to top up my glass while we're waiting. If you want me to go blind, that's fine. The story will come up. We have some history because we've worked together before, so I should be able to piece together a decent reading for you. Yes, good luck to you, Ivana. Ivana is up there in the northeast, sort of in the, I think, New Jersey, New York area. General reading. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much for giving me that freedom. Actually, I don't want to contaminate your reading, but I need to... And let me do this. I'll come back to my little notes later. Okay, here we go. Sorry. I wanted to add something. To my rant. Okay, let's have a look here. Beautiful. I'm just using the same old. It's my situational spread, custom built and designed by Lumination. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at the surrounding weather, external influences. I almost always default to the planets, but it could be a person or an event or something. Let's have a look. Right now, we've got the Hermit energy. Now, don't be scared by this, okay, Ivana? What I'm sensing is that if at first glance you're looking around your life and your world and you're seeing a stark kind of delineation where it's you and the rest of the world, that would be understandable, because ultimately we all have to face our individuality and understand that, no matter how much we have loving friends and families and pets and furry animals and dogs and cats and rabbits and birds and all those wonderful things, baby goats and everything, we are still ultimately individual entities that are born, we live, and we die on this planet Earth. And human beings, in our own way, we're not much different from wildflowers or from coral reefs or from fishes or from, I don't know, elephants and chimpanzees. We are born, we live, and we die in this amazing cornucopia of life that exists here on planet Earth that so far does not exist anywhere else in the known universe. So, we are special. You, Ivana, you are special. If you look outside your window right now and you realize, oh my God, it's just me and the rest of the world, that's a healthy thing to acknowledge. It's basically, it's okay. It might be very shocking and scary sometimes because a lot of people cannot handle the notion that they are finite, okay? Like, you are a finite being. It's just you. Like, your whole life, your whole world consists of you living your life, and everything in your life happens outside of you and around you and to you. And you feel that, and the events and the circumstances that you share with other people or other experiences, that constitutes life experience. But sometimes we go through these like shocking awakenings where you realize, oh my God, it's just me. You could have like the most wonderful, perfect lover at your side, the most perfect, beautiful pet at your side, the most wonderful parents or children or friends and family at your side. But it's still you in connection, relationship to them. Let me do something here. It's very, very stark, okay? Now, I should have kept a chart, but yesterday we had the full moon in Libra. The moon was over here, the sun is over here. So what happened was I was doing a private reading with someone else, and what I did was, I'll just show you what I did, okay? Ivana, I'll make it very, 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 very ultra super simple, because I just want to illustrate my point here, so you don't get scared. You just, you understand. So I did a reading for someone. There's the chart, okay? And we had the sun over here. This is for the solar chart for the day. And we had the moon over here, okay? Moon was in Scorpio. Moon was in Libra. And the sun was in Aries. God, I'm messing up. All right. Okay? Let's call it Libra, Aries. Let's turn that into translation, self, other. Okay? And what I was trying to point out to the client is that the energy of self relative to other was very, very powerful for a period of a few hours. And it became, in some ways, very, very, very uncomfortable. It would reach almost explosive levels of discomfort because over here, Pluto, okay? Pluto is sitting there in Capricorn. I'm not going to mark it. I'll just do the... Pluto is in Capricorn right there. It's still there right now. So for a period of about 6 hours, we had this massive T-square. All about relationships. And it brought the energy of relationships into brutal, stark focus. In other words, it's you and the other. On a global scale, that means you and the rest of the world. The rest of the world constitutes all the other people. And with Pluto in the middle, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure about what does that mean for you personally. Now that energy has already shifted, and now the moon is in Scorpio. So the moon is in Scorpio opposing Uranus and Mercury. So perhaps it's time to, like you're here tonight, so opposing, like awkward questions, to try and answer that need to be answered in ways that are almost impossible to answer. But we're going to try. So the way I see it is this Hermit energy here relates to the external energy and how it's okay to observe yourself as a completely unique, solitary, individual human being. You share your identity in common with every other human being, and yet you are completely singular, solitary, alone. Even if you were like deeply married with lots of kids and friends all living under one roof, you still come down to the fact that, oh my God, I am Ivana Kukulka, and that's just it. It's very, very scary. Sometimes it's very disturbing. People could go through like these like really deep psychotic shocks when they realize, oh my God, I am alone. I am a single entity. Does anybody love me? Do I love anybody? Do I recognize anybody? Does anybody recognize me? Am I going to have to live my life as though I am alone? Big, big question mark. Well, you are alone. That's the answer. But it doesn't mean you have to live that way. Like, for example, you're hanging out with us here tonight. You're not alone. You are a single individual, but all of us are single individuals too. But we're hanging out together. We're not alone. We have each other. Okay? So don't be scared. Let's have a look. What's the situation? Okay, with the Seven of Cups here, you might be having very deep personal experiences with the Neptunian Piscean energy that we were just talking about earlier. Like, how do you distinguish between reality and fiction? Look at the news, for example. Fake news and real news. How do you know which is fake news and which is real news? Okay? Sometimes it becomes very, very scary and shocking to people when they realize the people that they have trusted with their news, their information about how life is happening on Earth, in their country, in their city, in their town, in their street. It's all manipulated by elites who are trying to take advantage of you. And I've talked about that many times. I call it the mainstream media, so do other people. And you could put them in a box. And they all have these letters. I've shown this many times. M, S, N, E, C, C, and N. And there are others. But this, okay, if you're getting all your information about life in the world from these sources or their affiliates all around the country, then you are being fed on a diet of propaganda. And that's not healthy, okay? And when you realize, like, man, wait a minute, there's something wrong. So where do I go to get real truth? Where do I get real news? Well, I have sources that I go to. I've already talked about them. Ivana, if you want to write to me, I will send you a list of places where I like to go. Okay? And so with the Seven of Cups here, to me, when I combine these two cards, it makes me feel that you might be caught in the vortex without knowing it, where, how can I do this illustration here? Okay, let me try and do it like this. I don't want to scare you, Ivana. I think it's better to be conscious and aware of these things so that you're not a victim. If you feel as though there are certain things happening in your life that are out of control, like very disturbing, very sad, very tragic, completely out of your control, where you feel as though you're almost going insane because it's so disturbing, that would be okay. That would be a natural consequence. The way I look at it is this. I'm going to see if I can do this. Okay, bear with me, okay? What I'm trying to illustrate here, Ivana, is the swirling kind of energy of the sewer drain effect of Neptune when it's happening unconsciously, when it's just happening out there in the world. Because this is happening all day, every day anyway. No matter what the Neptune placements are, tomorrow, next week, next year, the Neptune energy tends to have this kind of vortex with it. This is the shadow side of Neptune. It's almost like being sucked into a pool of insanity. But it's also the same thing where some people deliberately dive into this pool because it takes you through like a vortex. On some of those science fiction films, you go through a wormhole and you come out the other side. And it's like this on the other side. Okay? And this is where everything is just beautiful and serene, and it's all happiness. It's like being in a beautiful dream, and everything is like just serene, like an amazingly beautiful movie experience over here. It doesn't always work that way because inside the sewer drain, it's also kind of, I don't know if I'm sure you've seen a sewer drain in action. I've seen them huge in action because they happen on Venice Beach, where all the filth of greater Los Angeles goes down to the sewer drains and comes down onto Venice Beach. And then the whole of Venice Beach becomes polluted for weeks because there's so much toxin poison in the water. And this part ceases to exist, and what happens is all the toxins are dumped. And so what can happen is that when I look at the Seven of Cups here, to me it makes me feel as though you might be feeling this, like, oh my God, there are energy fields happening outside me, around me, in my life, in my world that I can't control. It makes me feel like I'm being sucked into something that is almost feels like insanity, like the whole world is going insane. Is it me? Am I going insane? No, Ivana, you're not. What you're doing, what I think is happening is that you are a living example of someone who is experiencing the effects of this Neptune energy on steroids. Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune. Hugely amplified right now. And so it would be very easy to get sucked into that vortex where you might want so much good to happen in your life, in your world. Like you have so much love to offer the world. You have been loving. You have been loved. You are loving and you are loved. And then the minute you open your front door and look at the life in the world around you, the minute you turn on TV or whatever, or YouTube, you see all this very scary, frightening, disturbing, sick, squalid stuff happening. And it's very disturbing. And it would be perfectly natural for you to feel disturbed, disoriented, to the point of like, I'm going fucking insane here. Okay, so what's the problem with all of this? Okay, it looks like it's a problem that you can't fight it, you can't win it, no matter what. So with the Five of Swords, like, even if you want to try and use pure logic and pure intelligence to try and solve your problems, or to solve all these amorphous, highly intangible energies. These are highly... It's very hard to grasp or hold on to any of this energy because it's just like storm clouds, it's like hurricanes, it's like tornadoes, it's like floods, it's like windstorms, and it's just it goes all over the place, and it's completely out of your control. And then here we are trying to bring some kind of understanding and logic and explanation to what's happening, and then realizing, my God, it's futile. It's almost like the more I try to look at my life, my world around me through logic, the more bizarre things become. It's like, what's the point in even trying? Okay, so that could lead to a very, very large, very, very subtle, almost indefinable sense of hopelessness. I'm not trying to scare you, but what I'm trying to do is define the energy as I see it so that you're not a victim. You don't want to be a victim of this. Once you understand the energy fields and what's happening, how they work and what they're doing, you can kind of go, oh, now I get it. I am over here. Okay, here's a blob, look. I am this blob here, and I am in the vortex here of being out of control. Oh, okay. So now I can blame the planets. Yay! Cool. Everything's okay. Everything's exactly as it should be okay, Ivana. But if you're going through a little period right now where you're becoming, let's say, deep down at the very gut of your belly and your heart and soul, you're becoming very frightened of what some of the stuff you're seeing in the world around you, that's understandable. It's almost impossible to figure out with logic or communications, trying to, email your friends or talk with your friends. Because, like, for example, over here, okay, Ivana, you can probably relate to this more easily. Over here, Love Triber is very aware of everything that we're talking about right now. Love Triber has a whole network of friends and people over here in Las Vegas. And a lot of those people are, let's say, unaware, or they're innocent about the scale of what's happening in the way that we understand it here on this channel, okay? And so every now and again, Love Triber feels obliged or compelled to try and inform friends and family, like, hey, everybody, listen, you got to understand what's going on here. You need to prepare, okay? Because there's some very, very disturbing, scary stuff going on here. And yet it falls on deaf ears. Like, people will look at like, oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but you're not wearing your mask, so you need to stay away from me. And of course, Love Triber is dumbfounded. Like, how can you deal with that kind of perspective? You can't, okay? So Ivana, the most important thing, of course, is obviously take care of yourself. Love yourself, number one. No matter how scary and weird and disturbing things might look to the outside world, you yourself, in your ultimate solitude and your ultimate singularity, you are the one who has to be your own guiding light, okay? We can help here, but ultimately, you have to be your own guiding light. That's how it is. How are we going to do this? Let's have a look. Okay, so with the Seven of Pentacles here, to me it looks like it's very, very practical stuff. Really, really down-to-earth practical things. Like, you wake up in the morning, you look at your life and the world around you. With the Pentacles here, it's all about value and values. So I'm relating this very strongly with Mercury conjoined Uranus in Taurus. Value and values. How do you put words and definitions about the new value systems that are emerging across planet Earth right now? Because the value systems that we've known for decades, if not centuries, are being turned upside down. It's chaos and it's upheaval. So, I talk about bringing planets into consciousness. We're talking about Neptune and Uranus. Okay? So right now, when I see the Seven of Pentacles here for you, Ivana, it's like, okay, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to do some acting now. Watch. Remember, I worked in movies and TV for 20 years. So Ivana, remember, this is like acting class. With all those pentacles, it's just like, let's wake up. Let's wake up, people. Look around your immediate world, your three-dimensional immediate world, like your clothes, your wardrobe, your kitchen, your cabinets full of food and gadgets and stuff, your bank account, your checking account, your credit cards, your debit cards, your bills, You look at the material matter of your world, the weather outside your front door, the animals under your care, the neighborhood in your immediate vicinity, the condition of the streets, the conditions of the trees, the electricity, the power cables, the transformers, all of that. That constitutes your physical material world. And that physical material world has very, very defined value. Okay? And so my feeling is it would really help to sort of like look at your world outside and what is it that is valuable to you? Hello, Necessary. Hi, Robin. Like, wow. And let's translate this into prepping, for example. I'm not saying go out and be a prepper. All I'm suggesting with the Seven of Pentacles here, it's really, really good time to look around your whole world from this beautiful Neptunian perspective, like, oh my God, I'm seeing too much. It's like being in some trippy hallucinogenic dream where everything feels like the world is insane right now. Let's get back to reality. Mind your own business. I'm saying that in a nice way, literally. Mind your own business. Take care of yourself. You are number one, okay? Love thyself. Check all your kitchen cabinets and cupboards. Do you have the right supplies and the right materials to survive a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, in case the local grocery stores implode? If there's a power outage, what are you going to do? Do you have enough batteries on hand? Do you have too much stuff? Do you have things that you could give away, clear away, like doing a weeding system of your house? Do you have a lot of clutter? Do you have a lot of beautiful items that are very sentimental value to you that actually are starting to feel like baggage? It's time to jettison, streamline, downsize, protect your money, protect your privacy, protect yourself. What are you going to do about that? Check all the locks on your doors. Maybe get an improved security system, better locks on your doors, okay? Things like that. Check all the passwords and everything. Upgrade your security on your internet, your banking, all of those kind of things. Think of material stuff, money. But think of it in weird new ways that you never thought about before. Mercury is conjoined with Uranus right now. It's time to really get hyper detailed and focused. Think of the Mercury on how to be the best person you can be in these situations, because it's really like you against the rest of the world. Not that the rest of the world is coming for you, but no one else can do this for you. The Seven of Pentacles is kind of like weeding. It's time to weed your garden. Look at your life and your world around you as a garden. Are all the animals and pets caught up and up to date with all their injections and whatever they're called, vaccines or whatever? You and your own health care. Have you got supplies for medicines? Check your finances. Check all your banking security. Check the credit cards. Make sure everything's safe and secure. Okay. That's basically your reading. Okay, Ivana, I don't want to scare you. It's literally right now. It's like, don't be scared. The first part of the reading applies to everyone on Earth. It's not just you feeling like everything's going insane. But for you in your life, in your world right now, there's no point in yelling at the TV or screaming at YouTube or ranting on social media about what's wrong or what's not working, or feeling sad or angry or confused. It's time to take care of business. Shit is happening, okay? So, take care of business. The Pentacles, the Uranus things. It's very, very unstable right now. Do all the things that I suggested, like check your bank account, check your passwords, security, all of those email everything. Anti-spam, all those things. Thank you, Ivana. Okay? Sorry, I got a bit carried away there, Ivana. The thing is, you're so soft and sweet and caring. It would be so easy for you to get swallowed up in this 7 of Cups here. And that's not healthy. That's not good for you. You can't fight it by just screaming and ranting at it like I do. You actually have to take practical steps to protect your money, protect your finances, protect yourself, protect your home, your passwords, your furry friends, all of it, okay? Thank you, Ivana. Tina, you're up. Tina is over there in Montana. I think she said it's high desert. So Montana still can get warm in summer, okay? But they have these beautiful, cold, snowy. Tina wants a general. Okay, excellent. So give me a chance to shuffle up, okay, Tina? I need to play a little tiny tune here to get me, to give me some free space to shuffle up, okay? So this is the thing I was trying to mention earlier. It's kind of... This is what's happening, people. I've been talking about it for years. I even wrote to Donald Trump about this years ago. And here we are today. This is what is happening. This is the Chinese yuan. This is the US dollar. The real war is happening in the currency markets. We see the war playing out as things like supply chain issues or Sri Lanka. The whole country is imploding. Venezuela is imploding. Zimbabwe is imploding. Turkey is imploding. Greece is imploding. Those are all what I would call collateral damage. Everything I just mentioned, that's collateral damage as a result of this war. Okay? The things that are happening between Russia and Ukraine, that's collateral damage. That is like, it's almost like a showcase example of what could happen in 3D. Like, look at the Pluto energy, Pluto in Capricorn. This is what could happen to the rest of the world because of this. Okay? I'm not kidding. It's very, very easy for everything to degenerate right now. Literally degenerate through that massive sewer drain. Because the sewer drain is bigger than it's ever been. I don't think I've astrologically seen anything like what we're seeing today. That huge Neptunian stellium. Anyway, I don't want to scare everybody. I have my attitudes and opinions and beliefs. I put it down in a book. I wrote about it years ago. In essence, I described global and financial chaos and catastrophe beginning January 2020. Well, look where we are today, folks. Duh. You could say I told you so. Ugh. All right, let's have a look. Cards are very nicely shuffled, okay? Hi, Necessary, I see you. All right, so we're very well shuffled, and Tina wants a general reading, so let's have a look. Let's see what kind of story comes up here. I'm doing a very extreme split because I want a very clear-cut, brand new vibe from the deck. By the way, let's bless this deck. Bless the deck. Bless every single card. Bless the artists and the manufacturers who made this happen. It's a magical thing. Let's bless the cameras and all the multiple softwares and the microphones. And all of that stuff, the wires, the internet, YouTube. I mean, bless YouTube, even though I'm like hurting. It's okay. We're still alive. We're still going. All right, here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at the surrounding influences. We have here the King of Cups. To me, this feels like it's very much to do with the positive aspects, the loving aspects of Neptune energy that we were talking about earlier. The whole Neptune Pisces thing is obviously going to be a theme tonight. My feeling is that the King of Cups here, it's like an energy field that indicates it's incredibly important for everybody, not just you, Tina, but for the whole world to deliberately choose and focus the loving aspects of anything that you can focus on in your life right now. It has to be deliberate, because if you do not take conscious, deliberate control of this energy, you end up as a victim of this energy. It's very powerful, it's very beautiful in its own way, but that can flip and turn into something really squalid and tragic and basically evil and disgusting if we do not take ownership of that energy, okay? Talked about that kind of stuff at the beginning of the show. So, what it does, to me, it's an indication. Well, Tina, we don't really have to tell you what to do and how you live your life. You're already you're compassionate by nature. That's your default setting, okay? You are compelled to care. You are compelled to love. It is your duty. It's your day job. You've made it your day job, and you continue to make it your day job as you go through life. My feeling is that in some ways it feels like you might be entering a whole new chapter in life that could extend, really extend, where we're taking it to the next level. Like your default setting to be compassionate, to be loving, has taken you to this point in your life. Like it's historical, and you've made huge changes in your life to basically honor and respect yourself and to live your best life as your best person. And without going into any details, because I do not see any detail here, I think it's an indication with the King of Cups, more than ever before, it's time to tune into your sense of compassion and ownership of the emotional loving aspect of your character, where it's like you become symbolic. Now, for example, I'm going to really stretch this reading a bit here. So a lot of people know on this channel that Tina recently moved to Montana using astrocartography to find a suitable location where she can truly be herself, as opposed to be like floating around in the vortex of other people's energy. The way I see it with the King of Cups here, at least in the foreseeable future, Tina is now in a situation, I'm talking to everybody now, but it's still your reading, Tina, where you can reconfigure, recalibrate your natural default setting to a higher level than ever before. So what does that look like now? Wow, I don't know. We're going to see let's see what happens in the reading. Like, for example, you have Ava at your side. Ava is a search and rescue dog. You're living in a new town, a new territory, new location, brand new. You can it's like being an artist and a painter with a completely blank canvas. And it's like your duty and your responsibility now to yourself is to make this the most beautiful painting of your life that you can than ever before. And it has purpose and meaning. It isn't just about pretty dots and colors or whatever. It's like there is meaning and purpose to this new chapter in life in ways perhaps that we can't describe yet. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it makes me feel as though at some point, I don't know, maybe you might be like a symbol or a representative in your community, or like a lighthouse, or like a pillar of integrity when it comes to the healing power of love. And for that to happen, it just means you just simply make it your business every day to wake up and it is your day job to be your most best, awesome version of yourself than ever before. Like you said earlier, if you need a rest, take a rest. And if that's very pure, powerful energy, and Ava sees that oh my gosh, my mom needs a nap. I better lay down right next to her. In case something happens, she might need me. I'm just projecting a little bit here, okay, Tina? All right. And what's the situation itself? To me, it's almost like you are being called. It's, Tina, like there is a calling. You are being called to rise up more than ever before. Like maybe there was this feeling now I can just chillax and take a break. I'm up in Montana. There's this whole beautiful new environment. There's the dark, scary, cold shadow side at night and whatever. And there's also the beauty and wonders of nature. There's only a few million people in a couple of million people. And Montana is almost the size of California, so you have plenty of room to spread the healing power of love. But it's a serious matter. What's the situation itself? Oh, God. Okay, so we got the Queen of Cups here. To me, this feels like, this is going to sound weird, it's now where you become fully married to yourself. You are now your own best friend. You are now your own best counselor. You are now the embodiment of what it's like to be loving and be loved. And to be able to express this energy, my feeling is live, in person, in the local community. So that's, oh my God. I don't know anything about your community. I think it's Helena, Montana. But my feeling is that you're there for a reason and a purpose. And all you have to do really is just show up. Okay? You just show up, and then every day you figure out wow, how exactly am I going to, let's say, propagate or display the healing power of love? Because when I say the healing power of love, that's like saying compassion, and that's your default setting. And so every day it's like you're in a situation like, wow, how am I going to do this today? Because today is different from yesterday, and it's going to be different from tomorrow. So you're now in a situation like where every day you have to look at your world and your life around you on the understanding that you are, you're there for a reason and for a purpose, and it's basically to live by example, by radiating and carrying these energies of the highest levels of integrity and quality and power. Okay? Not abuse of power, just pure power. Like literally the healing power of love. What does that mean for you in day-to-day life? Maybe you have to go off and connect with somebody or do something useful where it's almost like you show up at the right time, at the right place, for the right reasons, with the right people, at the right, for the right reasons. Whatever I said, who, what, when, why, where, how. And it all lines up for you, but it requires a deep, deep commitment to take Tina Miller to the next level. It's almost like you've never done this before. Like the whole of your life has been a rehearsal to get you to this point where you're now operating on a whole new vibrational frequency of what it really means to be an instrument of the healing power of love. It might be simply like you go for a walk in the morning with Ava, or you take care of the dogs, or you connect with the local community or something, and then something happens where you are compelled to be compassionate, and then you just do that. Okay, now what are the challenges here? Okay, to me it feels like it's a bit scary. It's almost like you've taken on more than you can handle. Oh my God, can I handle this? I've talked about new starts and new beginnings. It's almost like, can you see the Montana landscape in the background there? Can you see that, Tina? Look at that. Yeah. New starts and new beginnings. Okay? It's a very powerful card, but it's in this position in the reading, it's a very scary energy. Like, oh my God. Now I have a little bit of an idea what TL is talking about. Like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with that? It's almost like somebody has handed you the baton of power, of the ability to express and share passion and power. Okay? So you combine that with that, it's oh my God. So perhaps, like you're doing your taxes, okay, so you multi your tax. Okay, anyway, so with the Ace of Wands here, this might make me feel like your situation right now is almost, it's a little bit daunting because you're actually there and you have set your feet down in this new territory, this new location, starting a whole new life, it's almost, I talk about like Netflix series, okay? Netflix series, The Life of Tina Miller, or The Tina Miller Show. And you have Series 1, Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then Series 2, Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Series 3, Episode blah, blah, blah. But now, to me, it feels like we're at a point where that's all done. You've lived all of that. You've done all of that. It's time to almost come up with a completely new show. The Tina Miller Program, or the Tina Miller Hour, or the Tina Miller Life in Montana. And what does that look like? But it looks like it's literally starting from scratch, where you can look to the past as a foundation, as a learning experience to get you where you are now. But in reality, it's like you're literally starting from scratch again. Completely reformatting, restructuring. You're still Tina. You're still compassionate by default. Okay? But what is that going to look like? How are you going to express that healing power of love going forward? Okay, so we've got the Death card here, number 13. It's all about transformation. So this is very associated with Scorpionic energy. Scorpio is the energy of transformation. It's the death of one thing that is necessary in order for the birth of the new thing to happen. You can't rebirth the new without the death of the old. And that's what we're looking at here. And I have a feeling this coincides very accurately with the Scorpio moon right now. The moon is here in Scorpio right now in direct, very acute opposition to Uranus and Taurus and Mercury and Taurus. And it's like the feeling is like it's time to, I don't know, it's like a bulldozer or kind of like an earth mover. It's where the way forward is to wake up each day and be prepared to do like a demolition job on anything and everything that no longer works, without any remorse, without any sense of loss or suffering, like, oh, that doesn't work anymore, that's got to go. Oh, that doesn't work anymore. And so you start living by example, where the Scorpio energy becomes very, very prominent. And that starts, this is going to sound like a very weird reading, Tina, but this starts to radiate in your life, in your world, your community around you, where people start to notice you in a very, very discreet way, perhaps, or maybe you become involved in local community activities or something where you actually are transformational. Simply because you are being you, what happens is that you radiate this energy of transformation, like you could be, I don't know, maybe like at a local town hall meeting or something, and you just show up like, hey, I'm new, I'm curious, I just wanted to hang out. Oh, yeah, okay. Do you mind if I say something? And then you stand up in the middle of a local town hall meeting and you just calmly let everybody know, like, I'm a newbie here, like, you know, I'm doing this, I have this background and everything. I just wanted to comment. I feel very proud and happy that I'm having a new chance, new start, new life here. But when I look at the community here, you're already here living this stuff. And I just want to notice, I've noticed these amazing things about the community, but I've also noticed some other things about the community that could really benefit from serious changes. Now, I don't want to stir up local politics or anything like that, but I just wanted to mention it. If anybody wants to talk to me, or if I can help in any way, please let me know. And then a couple people, you know, in the meeting, in the town hall meeting, kind of going like, well, thank you, Miller. Is that Tina? Tina Miller? Oh, thank you. Welcome, by the way. Thank you very much. We will take that under consideration. And immediately you start living in your neighborhood, your world, as a living example. You live by example. You willingly and deliberately take on epic change, and that the old ways must die so that the new ways can be birthed. And you have to do that by example, okay? Oh, it says, explains why I'm so tired. Well, give yourself a break, okay? You don't want to do this 24/7, okay, Tina? That's very, very demanding. It's very, very taxing on the body and the system to be the transformer. This is the energy of a transformer. It's like you can take, let me talk, you know what a transformer is, right? Okay, you just have to look around some neighborhoods where you see big telephone poles and you see those big cylinders that look like huge garbage cans strapped up to the very top of the telephone pole. Those things are called transformers. And what they do is they transform electricity from, usually it's typically 10,000 or 20,000 volts. 20,000 volts, and they transform it down into 112 volts for household use. Okay? That's what the transformers do. And that's their job. And it's a hard job because you're taking huge amounts of energy and you're transforming it into something that's actually useful. In other words, if you wanted to plug your microwave or your toaster or your television into the actual power lines at the top of the telephone poles, you would die. You would have a 10,000 volt surge go through your microwave and it would just blow up, okay? So the transformers dumb that energy down to 112. So think of this in human terms. Think of yourself as the transformer. Think of yourself as a transformer. You are living your life absorbing energy around you that's operating at 10,000 volts. And now it's your job to transform that energy down to 112 volts in such a way that it is consumable and useful and intelligible in the local community. That's a hard job. Someone's got to do it. You're a transformer. Thank you very much. I hope that helps, okay? Thank you. Necessary, as always, stepping in, adding that extra delicious layer of meaning. Thank you so much. Mr. Ross, you're up next. I don't know if you're here. I don't remember seeing you on the screen, but... Oh, there you are. I see you. I see you. Thank you very much. Happy Easter. All right, Gregory, what's going on? Let's have a look here. I'm going to shuffle up, so I'm going to do another tune quickly. I need to have a complete concentration here. Here we go. Let's have a look. Gregory Ross, how can I be a better channel for the love of Christ in this world? Without him, forget about it. Yep. All right. Well, you see, the thing is about Christ, from the stories that I understand, is he, again, like we're talking about with Tina and Ivana, it's like living by example. Really, he's just, from what I can tell, he's a person who lived by example. It's very, very hard to do that. Okay, here's something that I'm going to share, Gregory. I'm going to kind of take advantage of the reading here a minute, so I can go back to the... You know how I like to rant about all the slimy stuff going on at the top of the food chain? All the elites up there, the apex predators, who all they do is lust for absolute obscene amounts of money, power, and control. That's all they care about. And for that to happen, typically there are a lot of compromises. where they literally do handshake deals with other people who are already functional as apex predators, where you have to make a decision that you are willing to, let's say, abandon anything regarding genuine truth, honesty, and love. And instead, you create a facade that looks even more beautiful and more loving and more pure than everyone else below you. And you use that as your platform. Vote for me and I will save you. And what it is, that is basically an invitation to enter the sewer, where they eat you alive. Okay? And so it's like, from what I can tell, this fellow Jesus Christ, he was aware of everything that we're talking about here, of course. And he always had to make a decision that I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. Like, he was under so much pressure to basically conform to the elites and the commands and the controls at the top, because they all lived their life through corruption, betrayal, lies, deception, murder, perversion, exploitation, abuse of power, killing, murder, wars. That's their business model. War, death, blood, in order to attain personal wealth, power, and control. That's a business model. And then this fellow Jesus comes along. I'm not going to play that game. In fact, I'm going to call you guys out. So Jesus had a bit of this sort of like vigilante, Page of Swords type energy, the whistleblower energy. And that really pissed off some of the people at the very top of the pyramid of power. And so they had to make a public display of his execution. Basically, hey everybody, this is what happens to people who talk against us. We are the elite. We are the power. We are in control. There is no such thing as God or love or religion. We tell you what to do, how to do it, where, why, who, and when, and with who. It's the same business model as China and Russia. Well, any communist dictatorship, it's the same business model. Just look what happens in China, okay? So really nothing's new. Whatever happened in the time of Jesus is still happening today. Right now, it's you call it a battle between good and evil. The way I see it, evil is represented in a very glorious way by the Chinese Communist Party. So shut me down on the video if you want to. I really don't give a fuck anymore. So the CCP symbolizes the shadow aspect that I've just been talking about. And so how do you stand up to that? How does one single individual stand up to that? Well, they talk about the Tiananmen Square thing in Beijing, for example. And that became a very historical thing. And so now the Chinese Communist Party is famous and most recognized for killing anybody who disagrees with them. That's how it works. Same thing with Russia. Anyway, Gregory, let's get back to you and your reading. You're about how can I be a better channel for the love of Christ in the world. It's basically just continue to be Gregory Ross, ever more authentic, ever more true to yourself, ever more courageous, ever more defiant against the let's call it the enemy. Okay? Now, sometimes the best thing you can do is just simply withdraw and mind your own business, because the enemy is always there. Okay? And instead of trying to tackle an enemy face on, head on, like the way Jesus did, sometimes it's okay just to retract and operate in a very, very narrow confines of your own world, where all you have to do is get up each morning and recommit to yourself that you're going to be the best channel for the love of Christ in this world. Today, right now, with the most immediate things. Like, number one, yourself. Love thyself. Number two, you go outside the front door. You encounter people. You do things. You spread love wherever you go. You can look at an old woman and you can smile at her if she's really suffering with arthritis. Or sometimes there's somebody like a cashier in the grocery store and they look stressed out. You could tell them a joke. Or you can tell them, wow, I like your necklace. You look so pretty today. Gregory, you have so much love that is basically oozing out of you all the time. The question is, what do you do with it all? Where do you put it? So it is a very appropriate question that you posed for us here today. All right? In fact, your question can actually be extended to everybody. How can we be better channels for the love of Christ in this world? All right, now the cards are already shuffled, so let's just get on with it, okay? Hey, Karen Clark is here. Everything in New Zealand is starting to get stormy and cool because winter's coming to New Zealand. Oh, no. All right, here we go. All right, Mr. Ross. I'm doing a very extreme cut here. I like to get down to the nitty-gritty, as you know. All right, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Now, we know what the question is. So let's have a look. What's surrounding the situation? Okay, well, it's a very appropriate question. The Knight of Cups here represents the deliberate efforts to go forward as an ambassador for the healing power of love. So it's almost like your question is already being answered in that really what you do is you get up every day and you look at the world around you. And let's say, for example, that every day Tarot Lumination made an Astro Doodle. I'm actually thinking about doing that. Every day I put up a little tiny show about the Astro Doodle for the day and how to optimize that energy today so that we can be in our most loving vortex of energy. Number one for planet Earth and number two for the self, okay? So with the Knight of Cups here, my feeling for you, Gregory, is that this is like a permanent setting now. It's almost like you know how you program your computer or your phone or your internet or all your websites and banking online, whatever you do, everything's programmed to like a default setting that is the most optimal thing that works for you. So it's the same thing with the healing power of love. It's the same thing with how can we be a better channel for the love of Christ in this world. You make it your business. It's almost like you create an app. So that it's like it's on your phone. It's an app. Like, click. How can I be a better channel for the love of Christ in this world today, right now? Click. Press the app. And the app says, oh, well, first of all, check with Tarot Lumination, the Astro Doodles. He might have some information for you. So watch out for these potholes and danger zones, but take advantage of this and that and blah, 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 blah. You know, astrology, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So, to me, it's an indication that, number one, you're already doing this, okay, Gregory? But you're now actually making it front and center. Like this is actually, it's almost like this becomes my day job. This is my day job. It's how to be a better channel for the love of Christ in this world. I mean, that's a freaky job description. You're not going to see that on LinkedIn or Craigslist or Indeed or anything like that. But in a way, it is a job description, okay? And this is like a calling, like, oh my God, I see what you're talking about, TL. That is actually my day job. Oh my God. So it's like, it's almost like you have to, oh, sorry, this is going to sound ridiculous. But, here. Okay, this is a smartphone, okay? Let's pretend you actually have an app in your smartphone and you can click it. Wherever you go, whatever you do, because this is how people live their lives now, and myself included, this little thing is incredibly important and very valuable to me. And I try to optimize it as best as I can. So, what I was trying to hint at is that for yourself, imagine that you actually do have an app on your phone. You know, all you have to do is check in whenever you need to. When you wake up, or at lunch, or when you have a nap, or when you have a problem, when you have a meeting, or it's a client, or you want to go out and have fun, whatever it is. App. Tell me, how can I be a better channel for the love of Christ in this world right now? And the app comes up with like a little thing that says, oh, all you have to do is go and smile at your neighbor. Click. Oh, okay, that's easy enough. Oh, all you have to do is clean up the yard. Oh, okay, all you have to do. All you have to do today is set an appointment with a new client that is very, very disturbed. Oh, okay. Whatever that is, you will already know what it is, but it's now like you're programming everything through an app, where anything that you do, you program through that app. And that app is exactly like what you described in your note. Okay, what's the situation itself? Okay, with the Page of Pentacles here, it makes me feel as like, wow, I hear what you're saying, Tarot Lumination, but honestly, you're taking it a little too far. I'm just Gregory Ross. I only know so much. I only have this many gifts, this many talents, this many abilities, this many resources, this much time, this much energy. Like, how am I supposed to do that all day, every day? And so this is a card of deep innocence, but incredibly good intentions. So that's really all it is. You wake up with the best of intentions, understanding that really you don't actually know what it means until you've actually asked and answered the question to yourself. It's almost like, I know there isn't, okay, look at it this way, okay? I know there isn't an app on phones that can do what we're just talking about here, but you could kind of pretend there is. Like, you could actually like pull out your phone to kind of go, okay, I'm looking at my phone. There's an app in there, and I'm going to ask the question to the phone directly. You could actually type it in your YouTube or Google search or something. How can I be a better channel for the love of Christ in this world today, right now? You know? I mean, it sounds crazy, but there is an app. What's it called? The mindfulness app. There's a fella over in England. I remember I bumped into him like about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was designing this app. He called it the mindfulness app, and it's sort of like what we're talking about here. Like, you can punch things into the app, and like, what's the most, what would be a really good thing to do right now? I mean, it sounds insane, but he's now a multi-millionaire. Multi-millionaire, having designed that app. So, we're talking above and beyond his app. This one is something that is purely about you, but you could actually program yourself to ask yourself this question. So you don't have to actually get a reading from Tarot Illumination every time you have the question. You just ask yourself the question, look in the mirror, and the answers will come to you like this. Dear Heaven, dear guardian angels, dear loved ones from the great beyond, dear invisible friends from the great beyond, please tell me, please give me a sign. What can I do to be a better channel today for the healing power of love? Okay, thank you. And then you wait for an answer to come to you, and it will come to you. It'll come through synchronicity and coincidence. Ooh. Okay, now what's the problem here? Okay, we're all amateurs. Don't worry about it, Gregory. We're all amateurs. So what's the challenges here? Okay, to me it feels like this is serious. Like, Gregory is like, I'm trying to make this reading, let's say, digestible as a form of almost like, sometimes I call it tarotainment or edutainment or something like that. But for you, Gregory, it seems, the way I see it with the Queen of Cups here, is like, hey, TL, I understand your concern. You're running a channel and you want to be entertaining and fun and get more viewers and boost your ratings dramatically. I understand that. But for me, I'm Gregory Ross, and this is a very serious thing for me. This is really, really serious. I really, truly do want to know, how can I be a better channel for the love of Christ in this world? That's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. And it's much harder than anybody could have ever imagined. So let's have a look going forward. Okay, with the Two of Pentacles here, I'm thinking let's bring this down to physical reality. Okay, the materials, the pentacles, physical three-dimensional reality. It's about making decisions, okay? Decisions, okay? Wow, okay. So Gregory Ross, you wake up in the morning. You have, whatever it is, 8, maybe 12, 16 hours of conscious waking life ahead of you before you retire for sleep in the evening. And the question is, with this kind of reading, we're talking about taking it down to the very details, every minute, every moment of your life, where you make a decision. How exactly am I going to disperse my energy right now in a way that is in perfect balance? In other words, I don't want to spend too much energy over here wasting it on something that is actually futile. You don't want to plant your seeds or spread seeds in land that is not fertile. In other words, you do not want to waste your love. Love is as love does. Love is as love does. It's love in action. There's no point in throwing love down a drain. It's very sad. There are a lot of drains in the world, and those drains will suck all the energy and the value and the life and the money out of your system if they can. And there will be no gratitude and no reciprocation. So in a way, it's about making decisions like, how and where and when and why and with whom am I going to expend my resources? When you think of love is as love does, love is a resource. There's only so many hours in the day that you have to expend where you can be loving. So you don't want to waste any of it. Okay? So with the Two of Pentacles here, like, oh my God, I really need to do some grocery shopping for myself right now. My refrigerator is pretty good, but I know I want this, this, and this, and this. And a couple of them are luxury items. On the other hand, I know that there is someone else who's not me, where I know I need to call them up or take care of them as friends or family because they're hurting in some way and they need a little bit of love from me. It might not be in terms of money, but it might be in terms of time. Your time is a resource. It's an incredibly valuable resource. Okay? Love is as love does. How are you going to spend every minute of your day in the way that is most loving? Okay, so that you do not waste any of this. You don't waste any of it. And so it requires becoming extremely like hyper conscious. Oh my God! Like every step you take, every time you walk outside the house or do a chore or an activity or have a meeting with a client or something, and involves expending time and energy. Now, is that time and energy expended in the most loving way possible? Only you would know that. Okay, Gregory? But what this reading is saying is that we're taking it down to the details here. It's literally like a clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. You don't want to waste any of that. Like, for example, say you're really like sad or depressed or exhausted and you don't know what to do. And the question becomes very loud. How can I become a better channel? I don't know. And you're exhausted because you've already committed and done so much. And you just say to yourself, oh my God, I just want to lie down and just give up. So that's what you do. That's the most loving thing you could do at that moment, is take a nap. Give yourself 20 minutes. Oh, I get it. Love thyself. Yeah. And then you get back up again and you ask the same question over and over again. What now? What now? What now? What now? What now? That what now is basically what can I do right now to be the most effective channel? What now? What now? What now? What now? It is a perpetual process. But you have to break it down in such a way that it is like a business model. You're starting innocent. You're starting with the best and most noble, loving intentions. And you have a huge capacity to love and to bring love. It's just a question of the details. How are we going to do that in a day-to-day manner, minute by minute, hour by hour, from the moment you get up to the minute you fall asleep at night. Okay? It is a practice. You could almost call it energy management. That's actually what I call it personally. But anyway, you might have another term. All right, Susan, you're up next. Susan, the great novelist. Let's have a look here. Okay, I'm going to shuffle up. Got to shuffle up. Man, let me go over here. So, Susan, I hope you're still here. I know sometimes I go on and on and on with these readings, and I don't know what else to do. This is just what I do. All right, so Susan, I don't know where we are in the chat right now, but look at it this way. Susan, you are up right now, and we're going to get you your reading. I can't remember if you had any kind of notes. If you had any notes for me, like if there's one word, is it finances, health, a relationship, a fear, so whatever the theme is or the subject, if you could put it into one word, what would that one word be? What kind of messages do we have here tonight for Susan through tarot illumination, tarot readings regarding the subject of ... That could be, I don't know, family, home, whatever it is. If you have one word, type it in the screen. Otherwise, I will just go blind and give you a fully general blind reading, and whatever comes up is whatever comes up. It's a beautiful thing. I love doing the blind readings. Now, cards are already well shuffled. I'm just going to the last second. Susan is here. Excellent. That's really all we need to know. Again, I'm breaking the deck up into some extremes. General. Excellent. Thank you. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at the prevailing energies, okay? So we've got the Four of Swords. Relax, baby. Hi, Susan. I see you there on the chat now. So, again, I feel that this relates very strongly with the Pisces Neptunian theme that I talked about earlier tonight. Here it is, okay, in close-up. Camera's not working very well. Okay. Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune spread out all over the 30 degrees of Pisces, okay? So that's a huge amount of Pisces energy. Pisces is ruled by Neptune these days in modern Western astrology. So it's very ambiguous, very amorphous. It's all about love. It's ultimately about universal love. The kind of love that is impersonal. It's not about like, oh, you're hot, I want to do you. Or somebody looks at you and says, oh, wow, you're hot, I want to do you. It's much more about love in the way that we've been talking it on the show here tonight. Where it is, love is as love does. Love is an action. Love is an energy field that can be directed and shared and channeled. Okay? And when I see the Four of Swords here, for you, Susan, I'm seeing two layers to the meaning. Number one, it's time to give yourself a break and take serious advantage of this Piscean theme right now. It's an incredibly good time for healing, for self-healing, especially when you allow anything and everything that is, let's say, sick or buried or denied or hidden or stuffed in the kitchen drawer of your life. Anything that needs healing, this is a great time for that healing to happen. Now, if there are relationship dynamics involved here, because if you look very, very closely in the stained glass window, there is actually the energy of two parties there where I see reconciliation, the desire for reconciliation. It doesn't mean that they win and you lose, or they lose and you win, or whatever it might be. It's reconciliation, kind of like what happened after World War II, where there was massive, what they call reconciliation between the United States and Japan, or between Germany and other places. It's an understanding, acceptance that the damage is done. Certain things can never and will never ever be healed or repaired. So we need to reconcile. And what reconcile means like, okay, let's figure out what we're going to do going forward. And the most important theme is healing. How are we going to heal ourselves from all the collective damage? Now, for you, Susan, at a personal level, you might be at a point in life right now where it is time to reconcile with yourself. where it's time to put everything on the table in front of you right now. You could maybe even get your own package of massive, beautiful magic post-it notes and put out a lot of post-it notes on a table of a list of all the horrible things that have happened to you, whether it was from a situation or a person. It could be just tiny, like when you were a little kid or when you were an adult, and you just fill up an empty desk, an empty studio with post-it notes of all the damage that has been done to you. And then you say, okay, I am a wounded soul, but I'm still alive, I'm still going. All I really want to do now is reconcile. I can't fix any of that stuff. It's just history. It's part of my identity. It's the scars of life. It's the wounds of life. It's just from you living your life. You end up with scar tissue. But you're not dead yet, okay? So my feeling is with the Four of Swords, it's a really, really good time to look at your life and reconcile with the past. Heal the past. Understand that it is what it is. It's over. It's done. And it's time to heal. And that's going to clear up huge amounts of space for you to move on and live your best life going forward. What's the situation itself? Queen of Cups here. Okay. This has been a big card this evening, apparently. So the Queen of Cups is, again, I see a lot of question marks. To me, this looks very much about the future for you. What am I going to do now? So the way it feels to me is that we're looking about the past and the future here. If you think of all this energy over here, Susan, look at this thing over here. This is what's called the 12th house. And all that energy on the global scale is piled up in the 12th house. You could think of the 12th house as the kitchen drawer or the dumpster of your life, where you put anything and everything that you can't handle, hoping that it'll either just sit there and either go away or disappear, and you don't have to think about it. But right now, with this energy, to me it's an indication it's time to open the kitchen drawer, look at all the thousands and thousands of post-it notes that you've stuffed in there about all the horrible things that you can't handle or would not handle, or you're not ready, willing, and able to handle. You didn't have the time or the energy or the skills or the love or the resources, so you just stuff it away and you bury it. Now, sometimes those kitchen drawers can turn into really disgusting, squalid places, kind of like a really filthy dumpster. And it becomes very toxic to the rest of your life in your world. And you can't have that. So, otherwise you die. You die from your own weight, you know. So, going forward, the situation is right now is to understand what I've been talking about here in your reading. It's time to make an assessment, evaluation of your own life, and then figure out what am I going to do now. Wipe the slate clean. It's like taking everything in the kitchen drawer, laying it all out with a dozen or 100 post-it notes, and consigning all of that into the garbage disposal unit, and just throw it away. Take advantage of this thing. Literally, you can take advantage of this sewer drain vortex type of energy. Think of that as when you see the toilet flush, or you see the sink empty, or the shower or the tub is emptying. You can take advantage of that phenomenon to clear out your life. It's like bringing in the plumber, clear everything up, and then you can start fresh from scratch. Okay, now, number one, heal thyself, love thyself. And that will clear up everything so that you can start from scratch. So the situation is like you're already looking at what am I going to do now. So there's some like echoes here from Gregory's reading. Like, what am I going to do now? How am I going to dispense and share and radiate and propagate the healing power of love in my life and my world around me right now? Right now, going forward, and going forward from here. What's the problem with this? Okay, so with the Nine of Wands, to me it makes me feel as though like you're worried that if this is even humanly possible, because you might feel that you have created so many problems for yourself, and on top of that, you've got so many problems that have been dumped on you by other people simply because you're just being Susan and you're nice, and you might attract, especially if you're very compassionate, you might attract a lot of problems from other people who need healing. And you might be at a point where, let's look at it this way, your personal dumpster, your personal kitchen drawer is packed where you can't take any more. And then what am I going to do now? So you end up stuck. You can't do anything until you clear the drains. Like you have to do your own drain clearing on the understanding that you partly created your own problems, but you've also attracted a lot of problems from other people who might be attracted to you because of your natural compassion or strength and courage and ability to love. But it might be overload, okay? And that's not healthy. It's impossible to be a really effective, efficient instrument of the healing power of love if you're completely clogged up and overloaded with other people's poop, spiritual residue, spiritual vomit, spiritual diarrhea, spiritual disease. It's pointless. You become ineffective. So how are we going to figure out this going forward? Look at that. We've got some really bizarre repeats here tonight. Yeah, Tina. Tina can see it. I can see it here. So here's another thing about the Death card, number 13, the Transformer. There's another way. I'm going to just say it to your face. It's better this way. So, Susan, like with the Death card there, it's like, forgive me, but it's like being a sewage processor. I used to live in Los Angeles, and they have a lot of problems with waste, okay? There are certain countries like India or Sri Lanka, parts of the Middle East, certain parts of China, a lot of parts of Africa, certain parts of Central and South America, where they have huge amounts of problems with waste because they don't really take care of it properly. They haven't put the time and the energy or the resources into processing waste. On the other hand, if you go to, I think it's Orange County in Southern California, it's kind of south of Los Angeles. It's like its own bubble, its own world. They have the most advanced sewage and water processing systems on Earth. Perhaps only comparable with like parts of the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, where they have incredibly expensive, highly advanced sewage and water processing systems. And what happens in Orange County, they have some of the highest quality water in the country because they have these very advanced water processing systems, which includes taking in all the sewage, reformatting it somehow, or they turn it like with these sludge farms or whatever. And the point I'm trying to get to is this phrase that I use: turning garbage into gold. Okay? That's very, very closely aligned with the death card, the transformer. Transforming garbage into gold. It's the same thing with cow poop, chicken poop, pig poop. They take this poop, and I lived in England on farms as well. And cow manure is incredibly valuable because it's one of the most powerful, nutritious fertilizers. I know it sounds insane, but cow poop is collected by the cow and dairy farmers, and they put it all into these huge sludge containers. And it doesn't actually smell that bad. It smells almost like kind of sweet silage. It smells a little bit poopy, but what they do is they take these trucks and they fill it up with cow poop and a bit of water. They swirl it around, and then they put it in these tractors, and they go all over the fields that need fertilizer, and they spray this sludge everywhere. And what they're doing is they're turning garbage, cow waste, into gold. Because what happens is the crops that come up are very, very rich. Okay? So the way to go forward is to consider yourself as a transformer. Now, did we talk about this earlier in a previous reading? We touched on it, okay? Turning garbage into gold. So if you look at yourself, Susan, as a transformer, like, wow, I never thought about myself like. If you think of that as an identity where it isn't so toxic or weird or scary anymore, it's almost like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. I naturally attract these energy forms from other people, other situations, and I turn it around. I turn it into gold. So some people do that. There are people, like, for example, Frittoli is not here tonight, but I just heard the other day that Frittoli, I think it's by summertime this year, she's going to be fully licensed as a therapist, as an abuse counselor. She's turning garbage into gold. Frittoli has had a life of just interminable trauma and abuse. And she is a survivor. And she knows more than anybody what that stuff is about. So she decided to make that her business. She is a transformer. She went through training, and she's getting close to the certification where she can now be employed as a counselor in her local areas, because she knows everything about it. She knows how to turn garbage into gold, like how victims of abuse can turn into transformers and radiators of the healing power of love. It really, really does happen. That's actually what's happening to Frittoli. So Susan, I don't know if that has any correlation with you or not. I'm trying to describe the energy here of the death card. It's not a scary thing. It's actually beautiful. It's the death of the old and the birth of the new. Taking all the sludge, the human psycho-spiritual sludge, going through that fermentation, swirling magic, and producing gold. And the gold, the way I see it, is that it's like living by example. Number one, heal thyself. Okay? Go back to the Four of Swords. Number one, heal thyself. Because you can't be an authentic transformer turning garbage into gold until you actually love thyself and do that first and foremost, living by example. Then you can share that and spread it around like silage, like cow poop sewage. You can spread it all around, and it generates gold. It generates wealth and richness, okay? I know it sounds weird talking about cow poop and everything, but I'm not kidding. That's a very close analogy. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad you understand. Let's move on. Lesieli, we're still here. We can do your reading. Are you still here, Lesieli? If not, I'll do your reading for you anyway. If you're here, please check in immediately. Let us know, and we'll get on with it. Okay, I'm going to shuffle up again, so give me a few moments here. Okay, Lesieli? Sorry, excuse me. My throat, my voice is starting to go a little bit. All right, Lesieli, are you here? Yeah, Tina, isn't that weird? That's kind of like pretty extreme. I think that all relates to the Neptune stuff, the Pisces stuff we talked about earlier. There is infinite supplies of the healing power of love out there. We are swimming in it, okay? Literally. I think I said this before in other videos. One day, there was a scuba diver, and he was down there in the coral reef. There was another girl scuba diver, there was a cinematographer scuba diver, all sorts of typical YouTube type underwater coral reef fishy YouTube videos. And one day the fish came up to the scuba diver and looked at the scuba diver and said, "Excuse me, I hope you don't mind me asking. You might know something. What is this thing called water? I've been hearing a lot about that stuff." And then the scuba diver goes, "Seriously?" And the fish goes, "Yeah, what is this stuff called water?" And the scuba diver looks around to his buddies and the girls in their bikinis and the guys with their macho underwater camera kits. And the scuba diver goes, "Well, dear Mr. Fish, dear Mrs. Fish, whatever you are, water is the thing that you're in right now. You're swimming in it. It's all around you. You're saturated. Your whole world is made of water, plus all the other stuff like the corals and the other fish. But essentially, you're living in a world of water. And the fish goes, huh? Really? I don't get it. The scuba diver's like, I don't know how I can explain it. You're swimming, you're surrounded, okay? You're surrounded. All this stuff, it's called liquid. It's wet. It looks kind of blue. It's a very Piscean theme. If you watch Neptune, Terra Lumination channels, you'll know all about this stuff. It's called water. It's everywhere. It covers like 70% of the planet is covered in water. And the fish goes, okay, well, thank you. I'll have to think about that. Thank you very much. So I'm swimming in it. Wow. That's pretty amazing, yeah. So it's the same thing with love. Okay? The way I see it, love is literally like an infinite supply, and we are swimming in it. We are swimming in an infinite supply of love, the healing power of love. But are we aware? Are you aware? Are the elites aware? My feeling is that the elites have decided that there's other things that they're more interested in. So let them do that. Les Yelly, you're here. Okay. So I just kind of wanted to set the feeling before we get into your reading. The Neptune Pisces theme is very big, very powerful right now. So what better way, than to talk about it the way we're doing. All right, let's get on with your reading. So yeah, universal love, Neptune, 12th house. It's unconditional love. It's love for the sake of love. It's being loving for the sake of being loving, without any expectations of returns or compliments or rewards or logic. It's meaningless, okay? So that's just, I'm setting the stage for your reading. Cards are already well shuffled. Hello, Les Yelly. Let's bless this deck again. Very, very lucky. We're very lucky to have each other here the way we do this. I'm so grateful. Thank you for all your kindness and generosity. Whoops. That goes here like so. And this is going to go like so. Okay, it's the last reading of the evening. I can't handle any more. Even if people wanted to, I can't do it. So, thank you for your patience, Les Yelly. This is going to be, you didn't put any notes, so I'm just going to give you a complete general blind reading, okay? Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And what about external influences? Of course, today, like I often do, we're going to default to the planets. Let's have a look. Okay, this is getting crazy. Talk about synchronicity. Okay, Les Yelly. We have the death card here, number 13. This is the energy of transformation. This is the energy of turning garbage into gold. This is the energy of the willingness to die in order to be reborn. This is the energy of understanding that everything is temporal. Everything will die and then it will be reborn. Think about it as cow poop and fertilizer. That cow poop and fertilizer, it used to be rich, luscious grass. That's how it works in England. A lot of cows are raised on grass, okay? Oh, you got some notes here. Let me have a look at that. So anyway, with the death card here, it's like, this probably just relates to the moon in Scorpio. Let's keep it really simple, okay? The moon is in Scorpio here. Scorpio represents death and rebirth, okay? Scorpio represents procreation, a man and woman hooking up, exchanging their DNA and creating a new human being. Okay? It's a very bizarre, extremely powerful, mind-boggling phenomenon that really doesn't seem to exist anywhere else in the universe except here on Earth. Anyway, it's very prominent tonight. What does that look like in physical reality? The Taurus energy of physical reality. Well, look at your notes. It says here, I met someone new. He's born in March. I'm a Leo moon. March. He was born March. I'm a Leo moon in Taurus. My Taurus and I are not in contact, so I'm keeping my options open. Okay. So I'm trying to understand your note there, and I'm recalibrating it so that it makes sense the way I understand it. You met someone new. He's born in March. You're a Leo, moon in Taurus. That's the way I'm reading your notes. You're Taurus and you are not in contact. So the notes are leaving me a little bit confused. I don't want to, force you to try and explain yourself better, but if you could explain yourself a little better on the chat, that would help me a little bit. In a way, I don't really need it because you're going to get your reading anyway. But it looks like you're concerned about a relationship with this other person. You're keeping your options open, but you are not in contact. Now, maybe you were in contact, but maybe you're not in contact right now. So with Scorpio moon opposing Uranus and Mercury in Taurus, it's very much to do with the relationship axis. That's what happens always by definition when you're talking about an exact opposition like this. And so the energy of Taurus tends to be very fixed. It knows what it is, what it wants, what it likes, what it doesn't like, and it doesn't really want to change because it's happy with how things are. That's a Taurus kind of theme. Excuse me. Mercury is the planet of communications, okay? So if there's some kind of blockage in communications, and it's to do with Taurus energy, and the Scorpio moon is happening here right now, I would say that your reading is, it's like you are under a spotlight, the relationship is under a spotlight, and the other person is under a spotlight. So what are we going to do about that? There's a tremendous pressure here with the Death card to change. Now, oh gosh, I have to keep going back here. Scorpio energy, Taurus energy, also Aquarius, also Leo. Those are called the fixed signs. They tend to be very comfortable being fixed in the ways that they are and how they are. They already have, let's say, certain protocols, belief systems, attitudes, habits, behaviors that are already fixed and established. And the last thing they ever want to do is change. So when you have a fixed sign, Moon is Scorpio, opposing fixed sign, Uranus and Taurus, Mercury in Taurus, to me it indicates that despite the fixed nature of Scorpio opposing Taurus, Taurus opposing Scorpio, This is the external energy, of course, we're talking about here. Nevertheless, there is a tremendous energy to change, to transform, to allow things to die, to decompose, to fail, to fall apart, basically, so that it can be reborn. So go back to the cow poop analogy. The cows are out there all day, every day, eating their grass in the beautiful English pastures, full of rich, thick, green, delicious grass. They eat it out, and then they go back to the milking parlor, and then they poop cow manure everywhere. Huge amounts of it, and it's all collected up by the farmer, and it's all taken into the sludge, whatever they're called, sludge tanks. And then it's collected, and they take all that out and they spray it around on the new crops. Now, so in a generic sense, with the transformer energy here, we're talking about, again, turning garbage into gold. Think of sewage into beautiful food. I know it sounds crazy. That's what we're talking about. So, let's yell it. If you are a Leo and you have Moon in Taurus, we're talking about a fixed sign, hard square with another fixed sign. So you have your ways about how you like to see things happen and how they want to work out. And that would be typically according to your will, according to how you understand how life works and how it should work. However, for that to happen, it requires that it's almost like you have to be willing to let go of very fixed, specific desires and outcomes for a situation, perhaps like this with a relationship with this fellow. If he's born in March, he might even be a Pisces, and that could be very, very difficult to pin down. Sometimes it's very, very hard to, like, what they call pin down the Pisces person, okay? Because as soon as you try to own them or relate to them or impose your energy on them or expect a certain energy out of them, it changes. You try to grasp it. The more you grasp it to try and control it or own it or set it up for certain expectations, the less and less likely that that is what will happen. Okay, so God help us. We seem to be like repeating so many themes here tonight. A lot of it is again with the Neptune stuff, but the Neptune energy is it is very amorphous. It's very like, look at the little fishies here. It's absolutely beautiful. But if you stick your hand in to the ocean and think, oh, I'm going to grab you because you're there, it's actually very hard. So you can't impose certain expectations or desired outcomes on top of your situation. All right, that's what I'm sensing here. Because it's just going to simply lead to frustration. Okay? Look at your note. It's very good to keep your options open. Okay? But if we're talking about a relationship, it's important to allow for yourself to change, to be changed by this relationship. In other words, you might not like that you're not in contact, and you might not like that you have no other option except to keep your options open. That can be very frustrating, but it is a tremendous opportunity to transform and learn and grow. What's the situation itself? 9 of Cups. So my feeling is that really it's just all about happiness. Like, really, I'm Leslie Etiaki, okay? I am loving, I am loved. I'm a good person. I like to be happy. I want to be happy. I am deeply invested in my own happiness, okay? This is how it looks. This is what it looks like. When you're happy and you make it your business to be happy and you, let's say, honor yourself, respect yourself, then it's like you create this aura of comfort and happiness that would be like recognizable. Like other people could recognize you, like, oh, I know her. I know Lisieli. She's actually pretty cool. She's seems to be quite a happy person. And it's by choice. It's because you've generated this inside of you. Now the thing here is that, you know the phenomenon about like attracts like and so on? And so when you are radiating the energy of completely self-contained, independent happiness, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now here's where it becomes a little tricky. Okay, like Lesieli, you're here hanging out with Terra Lumination, so you're kind of in with the cool crowd. That's how I see it, okay? Everyone here tonight has a certain vibrational frequency which allows us to talk and operate with this kind of language, with these kind of themes about universal love, and the shadow side, which is universal squalor, evil, and depravity and perversion, lies, deception, betrayal, evil. We cover it all, okay? So, when I look at the Nine of Cups here, and if the situation is that, well, it relates to Lisieli. Number one, I am happy by nature. I generate my own happiness from the inside out. You might be an expert at that. Not everybody's good at that. You also like to be happy. You like to be independently happy so that your personal happiness is not contingent on the presence of another person. In other words, you can't love yourself if someone else doesn't love you. Somehow or other, you already know that that is a highly redundant, dysfunctional, self-destructive operating system. Okay? So, with the Nine of Cups here, it's beautiful in its own right, and my feeling is that it kind of represents you. It's just you being you. Okay, well, I see what you're talking about, TL. I came here, I wanted a reading about this other person. You're not in contact, you're keeping your options open. That's cool. Keeping your options open could translate into like, I'm okay as I am. I love myself, I like myself, I think I'm actually pretty cool. I am loving, I am loved. So it's simple. For you, maybe. But for other people, it might not be that way. So to have a working, viable situation in terms of love and relationship, it would require connecting with another soul who's completely self-contained in their own happiness, where they don't actually need you. They're already happy. They generate their own happiness, their own love from the inside out. It's self-fulfillment. Now, here's the thing. Look at what Necessary just wrote, the codependency. So sometimes you get these relationships that are called codependency, where like you can't function with them and they can't function without you. Sometimes people mistake that as love, but it's actually very sick, very, very unhealthy. Okay? So if you have a default setting where you're just naturally loving, I'm Lisieli. I love myself. I have flaws, I have problems, I might not be the perfect height or the perfect skin color or the perfect look or the perfect hair, but overall, I'm pretty freaking awesome as Lisieli, okay? Being happy within yourself. So in order to have a functional relationship, it would require having an equal. Not above, not below. An equal. So an equal would be another person who's actually self-actuating in the same way that you are. And then that would trigger resonance. Okay? Resonance is what happens when your frequency matches the frequency of someone else. And that someone else recognizes like, oh, my energy is resonating with someone else. So it's equal. You get resonance. Resonance is a beautiful thing where like I'm on the same wavelength as you and you're on the same wavelength as me. So, you know, what's that expression like? Alcoholics hanging out with alcoholics. Business mogul multi-billionaires hanging out with business mogul multi-billionaires. Wife beaters hanging out with wife beaters. Sweet loving parents hanging out with sweet loving parents. And so on and so on. It's like a match. And so in your situation, I'm not jumping forward in the reading, but what I'm sensing here with the Nine of Cups is that this kind of represents you. That's the situation. Like, I'm happy, I'm okay. I would like something to match. So to have a match, it's actually a little bit, it's quite a rarefied situation where you can find someone else who's completely self-actuating in terms of love, where they know how to love themselves already. They already think they're awesome. They already believe in their own awesome, loving self. And they don't have to prove it. They're not dependent on justification or verification from an external source. You don't need that. So to have like an equitable relationship dynamic, it would imply being connected with someone else who's also radiating something similar like the Nine of Cups. Like, I don't really need you. I know that you don't really need me, but I recognize a kindred soul. Let's hang out. This is kind of fun. Like, whew, this is awesome, actually. You are loving, you are loved. I am loving, I'm loved. That's great. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens. Let's have an adventure. Now, back to your reading. If you are not in contact, if communications are absent, okay, Lisieli, between yourself and this other person, it could be an indication that the other person is aware that they are not quite at your frequency. There's a slight disparity. Okay? I'm not saying they're completely out of whack or that you're completely out of whack, because it seems like you're already resonating to a certain degree. It's just a question of how close. So if you're resonating at this frequency, they're resonating at this frequency, it's not really a viable situation unless you want to become a rescuer and you rescue sad, broken people. Or if it's like this, and they are super, ultra, hyper loving, and they see you as someone who needs to be rescued. I don't see either. Neither of those are viable. What is viable and workable for yourself would be someone at your frequency. So you have what's called resonance, matching frequencies. Wow. Nine of Cups over here. Nine of Cups over there. That's pretty cool. We can do that. Now, if you're not in contact, what that tells me is that you are evaluating the other person and the other person is evaluating you to try to discern exactly how close are you towards equal resonance. In other words, if this is the desired degree of resonance, where it's a really, really good match, okay, that's great. But if you notice that they are over here, well, it's not going to work. Okay, if they notice that you're over here, It's not going to work. It's like you're above them. Ugh. They can't handle that. The ego can't handle it. So the only viable, workable thing is like a very, very tight, close resonance. Okay? Let's keep going. So what's the problem here? Before I even pull this, it's almost like the problem is that you're already a happy person. Your happiness is not dependent or codependent on an external situation, relationship. So with the Ace of Pentacles here, to me it feels like the challenge, the problem is that there is a potential for new starts, new beginnings, perhaps in the relationship dynamic, where it becomes very valuable to you and potentially very valuable to the other person. The question is whether the opportunity is actually attainable. The only way it can be attainable or accessed is when or if the other party understands this exactly the way that we're talking about it, like here and now. For example, I wouldn't recommend this, but if you wanted to, maybe you could like show this reading to the other person so that they understand the levels at which you operate. Now, you might not do that because it might make the other person feel that you are spying on them or that you are superior to them because you have esoteric knowledge with tarot and astrology where they might not understand any of it. And so, to me it feels like with the Ace of Pentacles, there's a tremendous potential for things to work out, like materially, like you're actually physically good for them and they're physically good for you, and it becomes a mutually enhancing type of relationship, which is very beneficial for you, very beneficial for them. The challenge is, of course, that it's highly contingent on whether there is a very, very high degree of resonance between yourself and the other person, them and you. Anything just even slightly outside the resonance is going to feel very uncomfortable either for you or uncomfortable for them. And so then it makes it very difficult to continue. In other words, it's like having very high standards, owning a lot of your own happiness already. It's almost like it's a problem because it's so much easier to operate at much lower frequencies, getting down to the point of codependency, okay? You're dependent on them, they're dependent on you. They can't function without you, you can't function without them. Those are the hallmarks of a very sick codependent relationship. And that's not you, okay, Les Shelley? That is definitely not you. But I'm just describing that dynamic as contrast, okay? You're in a very different situation. Let's have a look. How are we going to deal with this going forward? Okay. To me, with the Empress card here, it's like a very, very... Let me have a really good look. Hopefully she'll show up here. I don't know. The cameras aren't working very well. Let me see if I can... I want to have a really pristine, crystal clear version of the Empress here for you. Okay, can you see her? The Empress kind of embodies femininity, womanhood, girl power, supreme fertility, supreme abundance, beauty, power, and no apologies, okay? Empress energy does not apologize for being so awesome, okay? So the way forward here, it feels to me like if you want to get some kind of resolution or any kind of communications or understanding between yourself and this other person. The only thing you have to do is just continue to be your most awesome, gorgeous self, to the point where you become irresistible, like a magnet, like a freaking, I mean, this is going to say, like, how can I do this? It's almost like super ultra hyper feminine estrogen. Like you're just radiating your natural female self. And that's all you have to do. In other words, you don't have to do any kind of thinking, any kind of worrying. Does he love me? Do they think about me in a good way? Do they care about? None of that matters. What really, really counts is that you just be you. You focus completely and utterly on maintaining and increasing and nurturing and fertilizing your own happiness, your own bounty, your own beauty, your own power, and you let the universe come to you through the laws of attraction. In other words, you become irresistible. You get to the point where the other party, it might not even be this other person, but somebody out there, basically it's at the point where they are drawn in like a magnet. They cannot resist the girl power, the femininity, the aura. It's like the scent. You know, like we have little cats when they're in season, when they're fertile, they're ready to breed. The male cats go berserk. And all that's happening is the little girl cats, they're just being little girls. They're being women. They're radiating their hormones and their pheromones, and then the guys just come. They're just like, oh, I want that. I'm gonna nail you, man. Whoa, you're so hot. Whoa, think of the babies that we're gonna have. Okay. So that's kind of the message here. And where it comes to the transformation, the very first card is that what I'm suggesting is that you might not have ever considered conducting your life this way, where you don't actually worry about whether is anybody chasing me, is anybody loving me, are the lines of communication open or not. It doesn't matter. It'll work when it works. And the way it's going to work best is when you completely focus on you being your most awesome self. Love thyself, number one, and live in that aura of Empress energy and just radiating that awesome, I don't know what to call it, femininity. And it's inevitable that you will attract to you. The laws of attraction will attract to you those parties that may have a chance of working with you. Now, you might attract some lowlifes who they're just like salivating, like, oh man, like, and and you can just dismiss them very kindly, very gently, like, I'm sorry, you're not my kind. Thank you very much. I'm glad you think I'm awesome, but seriously, I'm not interested. Delete. And you just keep going, and you just allow yourself to attract that which is yours. And eventually, you will attract someone that resonates at your frequencies. And then you can go like, yeah, you're okay. I can sort of relate to you. Yeah. And that's kind of like a yes sign. That's kind of an approval. But you own the whole situation, okay? Meow. Meow. Gita donated. Oh, okay. Hold on. This is brand new. Gita, let me finish this reading. So, Lesjeli, I hope this makes sense. It's not really about the other person. It's all about you. Be you. Be loving. Just be your... it's almost like just continue to be your most awesome, gorgeous self, but now do it in a much more conscious way. You don't have to strut or flaunt it or anything. You just have to commit to love thyself and do it in a very, very conscientious, noble, self-loving way. It's nothing to do with narcissism, egomania, or, you know, am I the hottest girl on Instagram or TikTok? It's not like that at all. It's just that aura radiates internally, okay? I hope that makes sense, all right? Thank you, Lesieli. All right, so apparently we just got another... Give me a second, Gita. Stay right there. I need to check up a couple things. Doopy-doopy-doo. Oh my God, what happened here? Hold on. Give me a second. I'm checking stuff. I got to check this. I got to check... Okay, I'm just going through all the donations here. So give me a second. Perfect. All right, Gita, here we go. Give me a second. I'll be right there. I'm just doing my homework. All right. So, I see the donation. Thank you so much, Gita. So this will be the last reading of this evening. Please, no more donations. I can't take it. I won't be able to handle it. I normally only handle about 3 or 4 readings a night, but we had a kind of a very active evening. Gita. All right. Is that India? Is that from India? Is that a name from India? I see your notes there, Lesieli. I miss my Taurus, but deep down inside tells me to work on myself. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Necessary Truth. I think for Lesieli, it's really just concentrate, focus on yourself, just be your most awesome, gorgeous, gorgeous self, okay? And that will speak for you, okay? Okay, I've got the message. I see the message there, Gita. What is Sanjay's feeling towards you after you talk today? Okay, we can do that. Let's focus on that. So we're talking about love and relationship between Gita and Sanjay. Okay, I'm just going to clear the decks here. I need a few moments, okay? Stay there, Gita. Stay there, please, Gita. All right. Phew! All right, Gita, we're ready to go. Yo! Okay, I gotta check. Okay, so we're talking about Gita in relation to Sanjiv. Feelings. So this is obviously about, I love dynamic. Queen of Water over there in Melbourne, Australia. Greetings. Okay, cards are very nicely shuffled. Thank you. So let's just dive right in. Okay, Gita? Actually, let's make it a very extreme cut. I want to make sure we have a very clear spread here. Cheers, Gita. Thank you very much for the last minute donations. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. This is my situational spread, okay, Gita? I use it for almost everything as the doorway, the gateway before deeper readings. It's like a diagnostic tool that they use in auto technician places where if you have a problem with your car and it's making weird noises or sounds and you're scared, you take it to the auto tech and they plug in the diagnostics and it connects to the computer, which tells you everything about the car and what's working and what's not working. That's all we're doing here. It's very simple, okay? So, Gita, we're going to look over here. We're going to start here with external influences. This is like the environment or the planetary conditions in which you are working. So it's really helpful to know what that is. It's just like looking at a weather map. Let's say you look out the window and it's really bad weather. Wind and storms and cold or whatever. And that will have an impact on how you live your day. Okay? Anyway, let's have a look. We've got the Five of Swords here. So, my feeling is to be aware that, okay, this is going to sound awful. Okay, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Like, Gita, the very fact that you are here on the channel now, tonight, live streaming, doing live mini readings with tarot and astrology. What I've learned is that there are actually very few channels that do this. So I feel kind of like an alien almost, but we do it here. And so it's all sorts of different people come here. We have some regular folks who come here almost on a weekly basis. So we've built up these huge senses of rapport and trust between ourselves and each other. And sometimes someone like yourself just comes in out of the blue. I don't remember seeing you before here, and that's just fine. So, years ago on my channel, I used to do a lot of videos about the astrology and the tarot for every sun sign, moon sign, and ascendant. So there was like 40 videos per month. And I don't do that anymore because I burned out and YouTube basically demonetized and kind of destroyed my channel for various reasons. So right now I'm just doing one show a week, live readings. So I don't think it's a coincidence. I think you showed up here for a reason. Now you're not going to like what I say, but I know you're trying to help yourself by getting the tarot reading, but I feel that the tarot reading is based on concerns about doubt about what's really going on between yourself and Sanjiv. Okay, so in other words, if you were already comfortable in communicating between yourself and Sanjiv and yourself, it would never have occurred to you to come here and hang out with us tonight and get a mini live tarot reading. Gregory is saying, hello, Gita. Hello, Gita, and welcome. So, going back, I was talking about my channel years ago. The vast bulk of people who wanted tarot readings and astrology readings was mostly to do with love and relationship. Predominantly female, but still plenty of males. And it's understandable because we like to know that we are loving, we are loved. If you're going to expend all this energy, being loving, extending and opening your heart, risking your heart to another person, it would be very nice to know that there is reciprocation, like, I am loving, I am loved. So when you open your heart, so Gita, when you open your heart to Sanjiv through the art of communication, of course, what you would love to have is reciprocation, so that you express love through communication. It doesn't necessarily mean to say, oh, Sanjiv, I love you so much. It's more like, hey, Sanjiv, how are you going today? Like, how was your day? Or do you feel like meeting up soon? Or whatever it is. And then what kind of response is there? And of course, if you get, let's say you put yourself out there and you get a response, but it's not quite the response you expected or wanted, it's because you've already set yourself up with expectations that this is how you would like it to be, how you would like it to work in a perfect scenario. In other words, wow, if I can get the kind of response that I want from Sanjiv, that means that I am loving and I am loved. And everything's wonderful. But if it doesn't quite match up, that's a problem. Okay? And of course, that's a very, very common situation in communications with anyone and everything. And it's not just about love. It happens in business. It happens in day-to-day things like at a grocery store, at the checkout, or between brothers and sisters, or between yourself and pets, or between relatives, parents, whatever it is. It's very, very common and very, very normal to have friction or misunderstandings in communication where you constantly have to go back in to a conversation and say, hey, well, what were you, I missed that. What were you trying to say again? I thought you said blah, 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 blah. Oh, now I understand, blah, 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 blah. So the fact that you're here tonight is an indication that there's something out of alignment between yourself and Sanjiv regarding communications. You have expectations, and those expectations were not met. So this triggers the desire to question what's going on, because my expectations were not met. Okay? So, when I see the Five of Swords, to me it's an indication that you had very specific, clear expectations about this is how it's going to go, this is what I mean, this is what I said, this is how I said it, this is the way I said it, with the right intentions. Okay, that's fine. And yet, if, let's say you put that message out and you receive something like you already talked. Hold on, you said, let me just check the notes. Okay, so you already talked today. So you've already, the Mercury in Taurus, okay? Mercury in Taurus wants hard facts, information, no ambiguity, okay? The Taurus energy is like, I know what I like, I know what I want, okay? So when I see the Five of Swords there, it's an indication to me that you've already talked, you've already opened yourself into the world of communication, and you had some kind of response or reciprocation in the communication that was outside of your expectations, to the point where you're questioning things. So you get a tarot reading, okay? So how does he feel now? Okay, so another thing about the Five of Swords, if you're in a relationship dynamic where you are determined to have a certain specific outcome according to how it works for you, technically, logically. It's almost like you're guaranteed to fail. You're talking about a lose-lose situation. And that can happen unconsciously. You might not even know you're doing it. You might not even know you're expressing yourself in such a way that Sanjiv might feel like you have certain specific expectations and outcomes from Sanjiv that he might not be able to match. And you might feel that that is a disappointment, or that, oh, he doesn't love me because he does not reciprocate or match exactly my expectations in return. Okay? So can you see how, without any malevolence, it's almost like you're setting yourself up for a fall. Like you're guaranteed to be disappointed. It's like a lose-lose situation. I'm not saying it's a failed situation. I'm talking about when you have predetermined expectations out of a conversation, and those expectations are not met, then you are guaranteed to have a lose-lose experience. All right, let's have a look. Here's the situation itself. Okay, so with the Page of Cups here, please get to give yourself some forgiveness. Give yourself some room. Give yourself permission to admit to yourself that you may not have all the answers. You may not have all the experience that some people have in love and relationships. And so it would be perfectly natural to question everything. There are some people who have huge amounts of experience in love and relationship, and it's possible that 90% of it is painful. So, for example, there are people who have a tremendous amount of knowledge. We were talking about Fritili earlier. She is a victim of extreme, chronic, systemic abuse. She's turning that energy around now so that she can be an abuse counselor, and she's going to be certified as a professional abuse counselor. It's because she knows a tremendous amount about what does not work in love and relationships. So for yourself, Gita, when I see the Page of Cups here, it's an indication that there's a lot that you still need to learn about love and relationships at the really deepest levels, and the only thing you can do is start where you are. Okay? So there's a degree of naivety, a degree of innocence here, where in some ways you could be vulnerable to your own naivety and own innocence. There's nothing good or bad about that. It is what it is. So when I see the Page of Cups here, it's an indication that the situation is that you're fairly new to this, and Sanjiv is fairly new to this as well. So it's like a learning thing. The Page of Cups energy is very much about learning. When I used to do a lot of, tarot readings for free, I would talk about relationship dynamics. I would use my crucible spread, for example. And sometimes we have these different categories of relationship. Some relationships are what we could call learning relationships, where you are learning from the other person and the other person is learning from you. So you're asking about his feelings, okay? You're asking about his feelings. Now, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not going to tell you here what are his feelings towards you. Does he love you or not? He loves me, loves me not. Love me, plucking daisies and all that kind of stuff. So let's keep going with the reading, okay? When I do tarot readings, I don't do fortune telling. All I do is provide reflection and perspective. And you still end up being the complete owner of your energy and having to make your own decisions. Some tarot readers and astrologers, they're going to act and perform as if they are fortune tellers, and they're going to cast spells, they're going to charge huge amounts of money to try and guide you and all that kind of stuff. You got to go, okay? Well, I'll finish the reading for you and you can catch up with it later, okay? Okay, Gita has to go for whatever reason. I'm going to keep going at the reading. She bought it and she paid for it. I'm going to wrap it up. And she's frustrating. She's saying it's taking forever. She wants to know her answers right now. Okay, we're talking about lose-lose. I can't really help you, Gita. I'm sorry if you're already a tarot reader and you don't understand what we're doing here. I can't really help you. I'm going to abandon the reading now. Okay? Good luck. Goodbye. Thank you. Oops, sorry. I put that card in back to front. I put that one in back to front. No offense, Gita, but if you're already a tarot reader and you're not willing to live through a tarot reading yourself, then I would recommend you go visit some other channels, okay? Because this obviously is not going to work for you. Goodbye. Thank you, everybody. It's been a wonderful evening. I really enjoyed doing these readings for you. I hope we can do this again. Cheers. I'm actually going to wrap it up now really quickly because we all have lives to live. Back on the East Coast, it's already almost midnight. So cheers. All right. If you need to, go back to the beginning of the reading if anybody wants to dive into the astrology, all that Pisces stuff, Neptune stuff we talked about. That's fine. All right, okay? Never mind. Don't worry about it. Gita, you gotta go. You gotta go. Bye-bye.